Good evening, everybody. Oh, I got quiet fast.
Good call.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock. We are going to kick our meeting off. Would you kindly do roll call?
Counselor Williams, Counselor Hancy, Counselor Purser,
Here.
Counselor Parrish,
Sure.
Counselor Quigley, and Counselor Miller.
Great. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask everybody to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have an agenda before us. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. With that, Nita.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a first and a second.
Counselor Williams, Counselor Hancy,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great. Thank you very much. We have two presentations tonight. The first one is for the Fruita Student of the Month for April 2026 for the high school. And I believe I saw Newt with some fabulous shoes. Man.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Newt Klusmeyer, and I have the privilege of being the principal of Fruita Monument High School. And tonight we get to honor Henry Kamstra and Sean Gregg, our Student of the Year and Teacher of the Year. If I could have those two join me up front here and stand right here while I talk about you guys. There we go. There we go. Stand there. Face them. They're the ones that matter. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So starting off with Henry, our Student of the Year, Henry Kamstra genuinely is in the top 5% of students that I have ever had the privilege of working with, be that as a teacher or as an administrator. He's at sporting events, taking professional grade photos constantly. He's working behind the scenes, getting footage for our Jumbotron in the gym. He is affectionately nicknamed that Tron. And if you've been to any events at Fruita Monument High School recently, that has elevated the atmosphere and culture of our school substantially. And he also gets involved in student clubs like Fish Hatchery and Equity Council. Henry is one of those students who is actively making Fruita Monument High School better, but more importantly, he is actively changing the culture of Fruita Monument in a positive way. So let's give it up for Henry. And then we have the one and only Mr. Sean Gregg. For anyone in this room who's worked with or had students in Mr. Gregg's class, you know that his name alone carries significant weight. Students respect him, teachers respect him, and he is a true leader at Fruita Monument High School. In addition to his AP teaching duties, Mr. Gregg oversees multiple clubs, including Equity Council and Fish Hatchery. I'm beginning to think there's a nexus here. And he is also the department lead for science, but his impact on Fruita goes beyond just the science world. He is one of the true leaders, more so than me, of our entire school and our entire student body. And more importantly, he exemplifies what it means when we say we are Fruita. So let's give it up for Mr. Gregg.
All right. You guys don't get out of here without official proclamations and a free day pass to the rec center. And of course, a Fruita. There's got to be a photo op.
Yep, as voted on, as voted on.
Let's get the middle. All right, we have one more presentation tonight, and it's students from the Public Art 101 class for the Riverfront Trail Art Mural Project. And, oh, Ciara, you're kicking it off.
I'm
Okay.
going to do a quick intro for them real quick. But good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, Ciara Amon, Interim Parks and Recreation Director. Tonight, I'm excited to welcome Andrea Downs and her students from the Fruita Monument High School who have been participating in the Public Art 101 project. This project is funded through the City of Fruita's 2026 budget and provides students hands-on experience, and Andrea will go into all of the details of the program. But I just wanted to kind of make you all aware that the mural is going to be on the Cocopelli section of the Riverfront Trail under the railroad bridge, that underpass. So with that, I'll hand it over to Andrea and she can introduce her students.
Hello, Mayor and members of City Council. It's good to see you guys. This project has been really a couple years in the making when it came down to getting the railroad to say yes and to get all the moving pieces in line for this to happen. In about, I think it was June of last year, I conferred with Mark Mancuso about this idea. And then about 6 months later, when things came to fruition, I asked Fruita Monument High School to send me their best and brightest art students. And they did not disappoint. These four students, Paige and Maddie and Tabitha and Bowden, are four of the most cool, I mean cool kids. They're cooler than anybody in this room. And they're also some of the most intelligent and kind and self-starting individuals that I've seen in a long time, to the point where if I thought that I had something to bring to this project, they're happy to like interrupt and be like, hey, we can do this better. Or yeah, yes, we've got it. So tonight they will be presenting to you their concept, the rationale behind their concept, and then a timeline for completion of this mural project. So without further ado, Public Art 101, come on up.
Good afternoon. I hope you guys are having a lovely evening, first off. So we would like to present our mural design, which we are labeling the Rolling Bones. So this would be the full mural. Part of it is upside down due to the fact that it's in a tunnel. So we have a ceiling and two other walls that we're working with.
The idea behind this was that we wanted to capture Fruita's love of both art, dinosaurs, and music. So we kind of mashed all of them together into this fun, quirky design by Paige.
So that is also just some points that we have on the mural, which you can read over if you would like to have a more specific version of it. But as Maddie said, yes, it is based off of the dinosaurs that Fruita is very connected with, and then obviously the music that we have in the park just right over there.
So we are all kind of friends because we're all in AP Art and Design. And our teacher scouted us after Andrea reached out. And she asked us to work on this project together.
Yeah, this mural, we wanted to put ourselves into it to kind of leave our mark on Fruita. And so as we can see with each one of the dinosaurs, we have a design with which represents us. So we have Paige on the drums, I'm on the guitar, Maddie's singing, and then Bodhi's on bass. We have some extra details that aren't exactly added into our sketch, which would be mainly the posters on the other side. We're going to have each of us design a album cover, sort of like a play off of other famous musicians, and add our dinosaurs into it. And then there would be more like shading on the curtains and maybe some glow effects on the lighting that we have. This would be our step-by-step process. Obviously, we would need to start by cleaning the space because it is covered by mud due to the floods that happened down there. And then we would do a background color and an under sketch with chalk so that we have our guidelines with what we need to do. And then we block in the colors, add some details, and then lastly, we would seal coat it and of course, present it to the public with maybe a little party or something like that. These are some examples of stuff that we've done before. The two big murals are things that we've done with group projects for the high school itself, which those are located by the library. And then towards the bottom is some of our personal works that we have done, just to kind of show where our talent is at, and that we would be able to complete this mural. That would be all.
Wow.
Nice. Oh, wow. Woohoo! Fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So cute.
Thank you.
Love that.
You're fine.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, how cute. I think
When do you start cleaning and when does this whole?
holler if you need help cleaning.
So I noticed that when you guys have these up there, there's a couple like these little characters that you have. There's in a few different like motions and stuff that they have. Are these like, do you guys have them so they can be individually used and moved into different positions and stuff? Like if we used them for other things? It would be really cool, Ciara, like these little individual characters that we could use just randomly poking up on things like on our website and just, you know what I'm saying? Just here and there. Like these characters are really cool. You guys did, this is really awesome.
Great.
But I think, I think that if we brainstorm, we could include these characters on some things, just individually here and there, just to kind of pepper them through Fruita, because this fits Fruita very well. Obviously, I'm going to say that being the music guy, but I think these are amazing. You guys really crushed this. Thank you.
Thank you guys very, very much. Let's give them another round of applause. Wow. This kind of feels now after coming off of that to,
No,
Yes.
it's true stuff.
I know, phenomenal. All right. So that leads us into public participation and our consent agenda. This portion of our meeting is set aside for council to listen to comments from the public about items that are not on tonight's agenda or items that appear on the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are those for which all conditions or requirements have been met, and they're typically approved with a single motion and without separate discussion. We welcome and value your input. To help maintain a welcoming and respectful and productive environment, we ask that there be no clapping, cheering, booing, jeering, or sign holding. This helps ensure that everyone, regardless of their viewpoint, feels comfortable sharing their thoughts. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and we ask that you begin by stating your name and if you are a resident of the city of Fruita. If you have materials you'd like to share with council, please hand them over to our acting city clerk so they can be entered in the public record and distributed appropriately. While council will not respond during this portion of the meeting, please know that we are indeed listening and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to participate in this important process. So with that, I'd like to open up the floor to anybody that would like to have some public comment on anything on the consent agenda or anything else that's not on the agenda. That. Please come on up.
Mayor Bremen, City Council, I'm Paul Schultz. I reside in Fruita. I'm going to be submitting a written copy of these comments for the permanent public record. I'm speaking tonight to formally demand that this council vote no on Resolution 2026-16. Last month, I stood here and presented you with an internal email from your own planning director proving that the 19 road project had blown past its $6 million budget by over $1 million as of May 2024. Your own permits admitted that this oversized, over-budget road was built to subsidize the private iron wheel development. Worse, the city of Fruita's mismanagement of the 19 road project is actively burdening taxpayers with severe cost overruns including to defend the unpermitted paving of local wetlands, specifically tracked under federal investigations SBA 2025-0069, SBA 2025-0079, that possess absolutely no U.S. Army Corps of Engineers approved jurisdictional determinations. And it doesn't stop there. I see in tonight's packet that you also are pushing the Fremont Street intersection project, what appears to be yet another taxpayer-funded infrastructure expansion to subsidize and serve the Iron Wheel development. Now, under the guise of supplemental appropriations in Resolution 2026-16, you are quietly attempting to raid our fund balances to throw even more taxpayer money into this exact same 19 road project black hole. The financial data that you're presenting to the taxpayers of Fruita simply does not add up. While local farmers and residents watch our agricultural land get paved over, you're actively draining over $1.12 million from our reserves tonight to cover infrastructure for private developers. Here's the exact numbers. You're trying to rubber stamp $646,100 pulled from the general fund for 19 road construction, $72,800 for 19 road right-of-way acquisition, $16,600 drained from the sewer fund for 19 road sewer lines, and $385,000 pulled from the general fund for the J Road land acquisition. That's $1,120,500 of taxpayer money being handed over to finish infrastructure that primarily benefits private developer welfare. This council is using the general fund as a slush fund to bail out poorly planned expansion. You're subsidizing the destruction of Fruita's rural character and handing the bill over to overburdened Fruita taxpayers. I demand this council vote no on Resolution 2026-16. Furthermore, I demand an immediate, full, and independent audit of all developer subsidies, infrastructure overruns, and general fund reappropriations tied to the 19 road project. Not one more dime of taxpayer money should be released until the residents of Fruita are given a transparent accounting of exactly how much private developer infrastructure they've been forced to pay for. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Please come on up.
Tessa Bynum. I am a Fruita resident. I'm gonna have to stop saying my address in my Hi, everybody. Couple topics tonight. First, I want to briefly talk about the reckless brewing liquor license renewal that's on the consent agenda. I have a couple concerns about what appears to be missing or inconsistent documentation, specifically regarding Regulation 43303G, the timing of the license renewal with the paperwork showing that their permit license, whatever it is, expired December 26th, 2025. Given the enforcement action related to tax delinquency, I would also like clarification on whether the outstanding tax obligations have been resolved prior to the renewal. Lastly, the takeout and delivery permit application and renewal, number 8 on that application, which isn't answered. Based on those liquor licensing requirements, those details matter for compliance and for maintaining public trust in the process. So before approval, could staff and the council clarify whether all of the statutory requirements have been met and whether the current liquor license status is valid? Thanks. Second, closer to home and to my heart is my street, which was recently impacted by what was supposedly described as a permitted one-way closure for gas line work. I was unable to find the license or the permit for that. That's not my point for tonight, though. More importantly, the designation of a one-lane closure doesn't align with my street's physical reality. My street is 19 feet wide, which doesn't meet standard width for a functional 2-lane street in city, county, state, or international code. International Fire Code, which was recently adopted by the city of Fruita, specifically Chapter 5, 503.2.1 states that roads need to be a minimum of 20 feet wide. So in practice, a one-lane closure would effectively result in a full closure of my block. I do want to acknowledge that I received a phone call from an amazing employee of the city the morning of the closure, which I greatly appreciate. But that also highlights something important. This communication happened because someone knew how to contact me directly. As far as I know, the rest of the city wouldn't receive this kind of notice. and shouldn't have to rely on personal connections to understand what's happening on our streets. If a street cannot physically support a partial closure, then it seems important to be looked at for safety concerns. This is ultimately about safety, consistency, and transparency. Also, shout out to the amazing city employees who thought about me and called, because that kind of support is really meaningful to me. Thanks.
Thank you, Tess. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? Please.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm a little scratchy tonight, so maybe you can hear me. Oh, I'm already finished.
It's a quick 3 minutes.
My name is Constance Combs, and I'm a Fruita resident for 3 years now. Very happy to be. And I am here tonight to talk to the council about some opportunities for helping the affordability of housing along. I'm here personally for that interest. And as well, I'm representing the Just Housing Justice is our nickname, community awareness team. We advocate safe, equitable, sustainable, and affordable housing for all. First, I want to applaud the city's planning, affordability, and pursuing state Prop 123 funds. It's in the strategic plan. I see the affordability being part of your development, and I am very happy to be a part of a community that acts that way. And while we're grateful for public policy and resources being targeted to create affordable and diverse housing, but we must be aware of the significant obstacle of the disparity of income and cost for those wanting to secure shelter for equally diverse community demographics and lifestyles, from chronically unhoused to young families struggling to make ends meet, to employed college grads attempting to save for home ownership, to single senior women like me struggling to balance fixed income with rising cost, right? But I want to introduce you to something positive that our team has come across. We are affiliated with the Colorado Homes for All. It is a statewide coalition of organizations building a grassroots movement to ensure housing for all Coloradans, quote, no matter how much we earn, where we come from, or whether we rent or own. And this election year, they have a new strategy that they've brought forward, and that is a sign-on letter that they are presenting to elected officials like you to support local control of rents. The language in that is to urge candidates for governor to commit to repealing the ban on rent stabilization and giving back to our cities, towns, and counties the power to implement caps on rent increases, a crucial step to ensuring stable and affordable housing for our communities. So our team is assessing in situations like this, the Mesa County municipalities' appetite for this kind of strategy. It's not the same as developing housing, but it is trying to close the gap between affordability and income. We will approach the Mesa County Commission later this month with the same thing. To date, the coalition has secured 22 out of their goal of 40 sign-on letters. I missed the public comment the last time, and so in the interim, I have emailed all of you the links to this information here. So I hope you have a chance to look at that, and I'd be glad to help you further if I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. Let me go back and look through my notes. Sorry, I'm trying to. If somebody else has got a question.
I think if we can get some clarification on making sure that reckless, that everything's in line. I have full faith that they are. Deb does a thorough job, but if we can get an explanation on that.
Yeah, what I would recommend, so our city clerk is currently working on the election. Why don't we'd recommend that city council pull that item, put it on the back of the public hearing items, and then we will get that clarification and get back to you when that item comes up again. They are up to date on all fines and fees to the city, but as far as the to the Department of Revenue, I'm not sure of.
Thank you.
Oh, all right. So there was a recommendation to pull item D. Any other questions or comments, anything on consent?
I move to approve the consent agenda with the removal of item D for later conversation.
Second?
First and second, any other questions, comments? All right, seeing none?
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Hansi?
Yes.
Counselor Purser?
Yes.
Counselor Parrish?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. With that, we're going to go into public hearing and action items, of which we have a number of them. The first one is modification of licensed premises. A request to approve a modification of licensed premises on a hotel malt vino spirits liquor license for, I'm going to,
Desierto Rojo.
thank you, LLC, DBA, Desierto Rojo, okay. Located at 233 East Aspen Avenue. Katie, Lucero, or you're presenting on this? And this, for clarification, is a continuation from our March 17th meeting.
All right. On February 23rd, 2026, a permanent modification of the licensed premises on a hotel and restaurant liquor license for Desierto Rojo at 233 East Aspen Avenue was submitted with the city clerk's office. The reason behind the modification of licensed premises is that Desierto Rojo would like to expand their establishment to also accompany Unit B at 233 East Aspen Avenue. Units A and B are contiguous and only separated by an interior door without any other exterior access. The new area consisting of Unit B measures 31 feet by 32 feet, and a diagram was included in your council packet. Pursuant to Ordinance 2024-13, if an application for a modification of licensed premises involves an increase of more than 15% of the existing licensed premises, the application cannot be administratively approved and must go before City Council for approval. A notice of public hearing poster was posted at Desierto Rojo on March 3rd, and notice was posted in the Daily Sentinel on March 7th for this public hearing tonight. Fruita Chief of Police Dave Kraus reviewed Desierto Rojo's application for modification of licensed premises and provided his statement that there is nothing which would prohibit the change in licensing as requested. The city clerk's office can confirm that Desierto Rojo has 2 current responsible alcohol beverage vendor training certificates on file for the co-owners Jeff and Marlon Orehek. It is staff's recommendation that the council by motion approve the permanent modification of a licensed premises on a hotel and restaurant liquor license for Desierto Rojo LLC located at 233 East Aspen Avenue. And the owner is not here tonight to answer questions, but we can, oh, he is. Oh, I'm sorry. I got an email that you wouldn't be here. Oh, well, the owner is here if you have questions or if you would like to provide any further comment.
Would the owner like to come up and say anything before we open it up for public comment? All right. With that, we'd like to open this up for public comment, the modification of the licensed premise. Nobody? All right, hearing none, going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. Any questions, concerns?
Straightforward to me.
Yeah.
All right, we need a motion.
I actually have just a quick question. Is the intent then to like open up to the alley and have a door coming in and or exit? Like what's the it looks like that based on the drawing. I'm just interested.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what's going to happen. The back side has no entrance or exit that's to the public, but there is a door there already, and there's a lot of empty space in the back. So remodeling so that there's a restroom and turn that into a cantina per se for adults only, no children, so that there's a dining place for adults and dining place for families in the front.
Okay, thank you.
Didn't mean to
I'll,
skip over.
I'll as well. No, it's
Anybody
okay.
else?
No.
All right. With that, is there a motion?
I move to approve the request for modification of premises application for Desierto Rojo LLC DBA Desierto Rojo located at 233 East Aspen Avenue, Unit A to include 233 East Aspen Avenue, Unit B.
Second.
First and second, any other questions or Comments or concerns from council? Seeing none?
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley, Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is Resolution 2026-12, a resolution of the Fruita City Council finding approximately 37.3 acres of property located at 1179 17 Road eligible to be annexed into the city of Fruita, Orchard Ridge North Annexation. And Joey Morris, our city planner, is coming up to present. And once again, this is a continuance from our March 17th meeting. The floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for your time this evening. My name is Joseph Morris, planner with the city's Community Development Department. And the first item I have to present to you tonight has to do with application number 2025-19. This is a resolution to find the property located at 1179 17 Road eligible for annexation into the city of Fruita. As the mayor previously stated, this was an item continued from the original March 17th meeting date. So the resolution date currently on the draft of the resolution reflects that date. For the benefit of members of the audience and for the record, this resolution is largely a procedural step that's required by the state in order to find the property eligible for annexation. So vote on this resolution does not approve the annexation itself. Legal notice for this resolution is largely driven by state statute. The state requires that the legal description of the property, as well as a description of the application, be noticed in a local newspaper for consecutive 4 weeks. So that's the legal notice that was done in conformance with state statute. Probably the biggest benchmark that the state requires to mandate a property eligible for annexation is that the perimeter of the property has to share 1/6 contiguity with the city limits. Additionally, the state requires that 100% of landowners sign an annexation petition, which you can view in your agenda packet tonight, and an annexation map meeting the requirements of state statutes must be provided. The applicant has provided an annexation map, and that map does show that the property does have 1/6 contiguity with city limits. I apologize. There is no suggested motion in your packet, but there is one above on the screen available for you. Staff is recommending that the council adopt Resolution 2026-12, finding the property eligible for annexation based on applicable state statutes. Next step, if the resolution is approved by the city council, you may consider ordinance 2026-1, which would officially annex the property into the city of Fruita. So, thank you.
Is the representative here to speak? Would they care to speak? Okay, great. Then with that, I'd like to open it up to the public for comment. Anybody was comment on resolution 2026-12? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close that and bring it back to council. Any questions?
Not on this part.
Okay. James?
No, I'm good.
Okay. And with that, we'd need a motion.
Move to adopt resolution 2026-12, a resolution of the Fruita City Council finding approximately 37.3 acres of property located at 1179 17 Road eligible to be annexed into the city of Fruita.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
No.
All right, seeing none?
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great, thank you very much. And then that dovetails right into ordinance 2026-01, second reading. An ordinance annexing approximately 37.3 acres of property located at 1179 17 Road and adjacent 17 Road right-of-way into the city of Fruita, Orchard Ridge North Annexation.
Thank you, Mr.
For
Mayor.
Joey or Joseph?
Either's fine.
Joseph
either.
Morris, our city planner.
We call it either.
Either. Sorry, forgive me, James.
Just going literal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next item on the agenda is application number 2025-19. I believe it's ordinance number 2026-1. This is a request to annex approximately 37.3 acres into the city of Fruita. This is a parcel of land located at 1179 17 Road. Legal notice for this property was done by sending postcards to property owners within a 350-foot buffer zone, in addition to posting the site, posting the civic center, and placing an ad in the local newspaper. So all legal notice was done in conformance with local and state law. The future land use map does show that this property is located within the city's urban growth boundary, meaning that the city is planning to annex this property at some point. It does get pretty close to that edge where the urban growth boundary is. So with this annexation, if approved, it would be putting the city pretty close to that urban growth boundary. Just to touch on kind of the future land use designation, the future land use map and the comprehensive plan does designate this property as appropriate for residential development at 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre. And a common theme that's going to come up with some of tonight's presentations is that this is a very unique property with a very unique topography, flood zone, and some natural features. And so you'll see kind of to the north and the west of the property, there's this community recreation land use designation. And that roughly corresponds to the Big Salt Wash, which this property contains a portion of. In addition to annexing the parcel, the proposed ordinance would annex the adjacent right-of-way as described below. This is the portion of 17 Road not currently in the city. And when looking at annexations, we as staff also take into account several of the city's other master planning documents. Most often the Parks, Health, Recreation, Open Space and Trails Master Plan, or the Frost Master Plan. And it does show a proposed trail running along what is the Big Salt Wash. This is identified as this plan as the Big Salt Wash Trail, which is a primary plan of medium priority for the city. When considering annexations, there are generally 9 criteria to consider. They're summarized above, and staff has gone into greater detail discussing how those criteria relate to this application in the staff report. But generally, the parcel has to meet the requirements of state statutes. It has to be within the urban growth boundary. It can be served with police and other municipal services, and the area meets or can meet existing infrastructure standards set forth by the city. So some of these criteria, particularly the last one as it's summarized above, have more weight when the city is considering and annexing established subdivisions with infrastructure. This is currently being used pretty much for an agricultural use with a single house, so there's not much infrastructure there. So that last criteria, while important, doesn't have as much weight as some of the others. As I've previously mentioned, the annexation map does show that it has the 1/6 contiguity. And no reviewers expressed concerns with the annexation. Written public comments received by staff have been provided as part of the agenda packet. And at the Planning Commission's regularly scheduled February 10th meeting, they recommended by a vote of 6-0 that the City Council approve the annexation with the condition that the property owner agrees to enter into an annexation agreement with the city. That annexation agreement, they said, should contain the items within the annexation and development framework that was presented to them. That framework is also in tonight's agenda packet for your review. And out of that framework came a more final draft of an annexation agreement that was reached or prepared through collaboration between the city and the applicant. There are some differences between that framework and the final draft that came about as part of that collaboration. Probably most notably, originally the Planning Commission had made a condition that the preliminary plan should be submitted within 1 year of the city zoning the property. After discussions with the applicant, that was deemed a little unrealistic to get all of that documentation and plans prepared. So the final draft of the annexation agreement stipulates within 2 years. Additionally, the developer will be responsible to build the sewer lines. The developer is responsible to construct pedestrian pathways with landscaping, providing connections to existing developments. The developer will be permitted to construct an alternative roadway cross-section with sidewalk on one side for all interior roads, and no curb, gutter, or sidewalk improvements along 17 Road, except those deemed necessary by the city engineer. All trees at the entrance will be required to be preserved, and all trees internal to the site that don't conflict with development will also be required to be preserved. The developer will be responsible to construct a public park with a public parking lot and will participate in the preservation of the barn that's currently on the property. The developer will be responsible to construct the primary trail along the Big Salt Wash and dedicate the land along the Big Salt Wash to the city within 60 days of annexation. Construction may be accomplished in phases, and the city may grant development impact fee credits according to Chapter 17.47 of the Land Use Code. Now, a lot of the things in this annexation agreement, for example, the impact fee credits, construction happening in phases, those are things that happen on a regular basis in Fruita anyways. And this whole notion of an annexation agreement isn't one that the city of Fruita exercises very often. Staff felt this would be a good tool to use for this particular annexation, because it's a very unique property, and that presents a lot of opportunities for the city to get some of those improvements like public parks and trails and historic preservation, and also provide a little transparency to members of the public about how the development procedure will happen, as well as setting some expectations for what they can see in the future. On page 191 of your agenda packet, you'll find staff's suggested motion. Staff is recommending that the council adopt ordinance 2026-01 with the condition that the property owner agrees to enter into the annexation agreement as presented, and that all review comments and issues identified in the staff report be adequately resolved. If approved, the annexation will become effective 30 days after the ordinance is adopted, and the city will have 90 days to zone the property according to state statute. Thank you.
Did you want to make comment before we open up to the public?
Hi, Keith Ellers representing the applicant here. On this one, again, for the annexation, I don't have a much presentation and discussion there, but certainly wanted to offer the opportunity for any questions. I think in the past, the more discussion has been had about the zoning once we are annexed. So available for questions if there are.
First, I'd like to open up to public comment, and then we'll bring it back to council. So with that, I'd like to open ordinance up for public comment. Is there anybody who would like to come up and speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. Anybody have questions?
Yes.
Okay, you go first.
Joey. So along 19 Road, why are we saying that there, or like, what is 17? Thank you. What did I say? 19. That's another day. 17 Road, curb and gutter. What is the expectation on the city engineer? His expectation for establishing curb and gutter?
Yeah, I think it's going to be based on probably like drainage concerns and making sure that drainage on 17 Road is not impeded.
Why would we not require curb and gutter to be?
Yeah, if it's not required for drainage or any other engineering things, we're getting pretty close to that urban growth boundary. And I think the benefits that are being provided by the construction of that primary trail, at least in the opinion of staff, kind of offset some of those other.
Is there no existing sidewalk? Is 17 Road, the sidewalk along the west side that stops prior. So if there was a sidewalk, it would.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Yeah, and I think like further south than the property line actually is, the sidewalk stops much further south than that. So it'd kind of be the sidewalk
Developments before.
and then a gap. And then if the applicant was required to install the sidewalk, another sidewalk. So.
Could you kindly pull up the annexation agreement up back onto the screen, please?
You want just the slide?
Yeah, just that one slide would be great. Without a question, I think it was the third bullet from the bottom. Nothing like asking tech on demand. Yeah, that's the one. So it says, thank you. Developer responsible, the third one from the bottom, developer responsible to construct primary trail along Big Salt Wash. Along Big Salt Wash, 60 days of the annexation. So
The trail within 60 days?
well, that's, yeah, I'm a little confused by what.
Yeah, I don't think the expectation would be for the trail to be constructed within 60 days, just that the city. Then, once the developer submits that preliminary plan and gets his construction drawings approved, then to move forward with the construction of the trail.
Okay, so yeah, so we get annexed, okay, within the city, but nothing will happen until the construction plans happen. And then once those are submitted and approved, then does the clock start on getting that development? I'm trying to understand.
For the, are you, the 2-year deadline?
No, I'm talking about for
The
the
trail.
The
I think
trail.
these need to be two different bullet points.
Yeah.
Because we're saying we're going to dedicate the land along Big Salt Wash to the city within 60 days of annexation. That one makes sense and sounds.
Right, but I'm confused.
But then this other one doesn't have a timeline, is what I'm understanding.
Construct a primary trail.
Likely it falls within that 2 years, like everything else in
Okay.
the
I
project.
just want
Clarification on that might be good, yeah.
Looks like they have to start that within at least 60 days.
The dedication, yeah. I think the answer to your question originally was yes. But yeah, the land will be dedicated within 60 days. And then within 2 years, the applicant will be responsible to submit construction drawings and a preliminary plan, which will be reviewed by city staff and all of our external review agencies.
We adjust this because
Can
anybody else.
well, sorry to interrupt, Mayor. Hello, Mary Elizabeth Geiger, City Attorney. If you read the actual annexation agreement itself, these are two very different sections, and it does not read like this at all.
For him to read it out.
Summary.
So, yeah, if you go to section 6 of the annexation agreement itself, which looks like it's page 179 of the packet. And that specifically just talks about the buffer around the Big Salt Wash and the dedication of that to the city within 60 days. Section 9 is the Big Salt Wash trail connectivity. And it just, it says that city approval is required prior to construction thereof, et cetera, et cetera. So to Councilor Purser's comment, I believe that was hers, and I think what Joey was saying earlier, when they come in with their preliminary plan application, that is going to have to show these trail connections. And then there will be, as part of those approvals, deadlines for construction. Construction might be phased, and then all of that would be set up in the subdivision improvements agreement. So reading it in the annexation agreement, the actual annexation agreement, it all makes sense. And I agree it was a little confusing on this bullet point here, but that is not how it's set forth in the actual agreement.
Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Tagging along with that, if I'm looking at the map right, there's the trail ends just south of the property. Who's going to be financially responsible to take the trail from the property line down to the existing trail there? And I believe that's Comstock.
The developer should be.
Pardon?
The developer.
Okay, so even though it crosses, it's city I would assume it's city property over there. Is that what that little area is?
Yeah, that's an area that we're gonna have to look at. I think it was originally dedicated to the Comstock HOA, so that might present some difficulties, but it's something we'll have to work out during the preliminary plan
But
review.
we have appropriate documentation to say that it connects to that trail that already exists.
Like if easements, and we'll have to look into that. I don't know if you're aware, but we'll.
Yeah. So that missing link is something that typically the city and the developer would try to accomplish together, to match those up. And as they continue on with this property along the Big Salt Wash, then that's when the plans would show in maybe phases, because it's a large chunk of trail to construct. And so in phases would be appropriate, but that primary connection between the subdivisions and this property that we're talking about would then be coordinated together with the applicant.
Thank you.
I'm liking the idea of like, this is nice to be able to show a little bit more, like you said, show the public kind of what goes into this back and forth, that you have with our developers. And there's some pretty cool things in there that I'm excited. Those are things we don't usually see in these applications. And so I'm encouraged by that. That's pretty cool.
I agree. I think this annexation agreement is a lovely thing to see and for it to be a part of, and shows all the parts and pieces working together. However, I'm concerned on a larger scale about annexations in our urban growth boundary. Currently, because we have we had our housing needs assessment survey as well as our community survey, and I feel pretty strongly that there are things in those results that we maybe need to look at before we move forward with this or any other annexation in that general area. And so I'm feeling responsible personally to kind of pause about that until we are able to have more conversation about what these things should look like, particularly when this council has really talked a lot about infill and that's where we want our focus to be. And this is something outside of that scope, even though I'm fully aware we just voted that this is eligible for annexation. I understand the complexity. And what I'm saying, I understand that, but I also feel like that we have a responsibility to have some more serious conversations before moving forward in something along these lines, even though this is a beautiful agreement presented to us.
So I was just going to follow up on that, Councilor Purser. So you're correct. You guys did find that it's eligible for annexation. The annexation agreement is what provides some parameters around that. And land that's within the urban growth boundary is land that's been designated as, preferred for annexation. That's the area that you don't really, the city's kind of said, we're going to go to here, but we're going to, think really hard before we go out here. So, I just want folks to be mindful of that there's a statement that's been made by establishing that boundary as to where, annexation may occur. And, not to say that your concerns aren't worth looking at for sure and understanding, but different developers, different property owners, infill versus, this is a property that's owned that just happens to be out, closer to the urban growth boundary. So it's
100%, yeah.
it's a little difficult to, be hinging. I would not recommend, I guess I would say, making a decision on this based upon, decisions and discussions the council wants to have on other properties,
Yeah, no, I'm considering like as a whole, not I hear what you're saying. I'm not basing it on other properties. I'm basing it on the entire concept. And that we maybe need to, at the very least, have some more conversations with the residents of Fruita about what urban growth boundary means and what that entails and what the expectation is when those things are put into place or things like that. To get to a better spot of understanding at the minimum with our residents before pursuing annexations like this.
My understanding, and I will look to anyone on staff to correct me if I'm wrong, but that that was vetted and was part of the large discussion that came into producing the comp plan.
Yes, that's oldish at this point.
Yeah, I understand how I understand what you're saying, but how does a landowner restricted, or I guess what I'm hearing is that we have the housing study, which is pretty fresh for us. How I look at that is a guidance on what can be done within communities for what landowners can do to help in their development decisions, like what's the need of the community, and it's more of strong suggestions because of research versus a requirement and a force to build a certain way, because we have land use code that already establishes that. So why would we hold off on this in any development because of the housing thing?
And that's fair. And I struggle with that because I know like how we are operating with what's currently in place. So it's difficult. Like I get it. Like we have things set in place. I still feel a responsibility to honor the responses that we received in those. And we have not had, I'm saying we have not had bigger conversations about what those actually mean. And so I'm hesitant also through that, and based on a good number of public comment that seem to back up. There's concern here in general, and in the housing needs study, there's big concern about growth and where and how and what that looks like. And I just think we haven't completely addressed that in a way that ultimately needs to be addressed. And maybe that doesn't apply ultimately to this because we already have some things in place, but I'm also like have been proud of us and as a council in general when we see something that maybe just needs a pause. I'm not like a no for good, but like do we need to think about this for a minute longer about what there's other implications? And I don't know. I'm just speaking like where I'm at in general with this concept.
So, and I appreciate your concern. Like we're now getting between, starting the economic and the housing needs assessment, starting to get a lot of information in the door in terms of what we can do, some suggestions of what we can do, trying to marry that up with the needs. But I think that, to your point, needs to be part of a larger conversation, and that we can't stop
what's already
there. And then, I mean, I know that we have to have those community discussions moving forward, and that's how things adjust, and that's a time period to do that. So what I hear you, and I am agreeing with you on, is yes, we need to have those conversations, continue to have those conversations because we have had them, but continue to have those moving forward. But for right now, these
are the constraints that we're working within,
these are the parameters
yes.
that, from when we did this in 2019 in that whole process, this is where, from a community standpoint, the community said, here's where we want to go. New information, things change, and we have to follow that process.
And we did pull that boundary in by 771 acres. Like that's
a big deal.
That's a big chunk. And
That's true.
I agree. This is a constant conversation that we have about, preserving our farmland and open space and trying to communicate, with everyone, our community, our developers. I think, we give our developers like, hey, here is, your toolbox. Here is what we, want. Here's what our community has said they want. Here's the parameters that we're recommending that you work within. And it's a lot. It's a long, expensive and in-depth process that they work really hard to try to, meet those needs clearly. I mean, it's just like,
I'm so thrilled with what
this is pretty wild. Like it's, but I don't think it would be fair to give them all of that and then say, oh, never mind, we're going to not, honor that we've, given you. I don't know that that's right. I agree that we can constantly be shifting and changing with the needs of the community, but
I disagree. We can't constantly be shifting. I mean, that's not fair to the community. I think we do the feedback, we get the input, and we're getting outside
The
of
shifts
this.
necessary. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
can I interject for just a second? I think, I mean, understanding Counselor Purser's concerns, and then Counselor Miller's point, this application was submitted under the current code and, comp plan and guiding documents that are applicable to any land use application. So you can't, you know, consider this land use application based upon information that isn't part of those documents that the
Fair
application
enough.
was submitted
Yes,
under, if that makes sense.
it
But your
does. We,
point is well taken for a further discussion, because you're right. You should be looking at your comp plan every few years. You should be, you do have this housing needs assessment. Maybe that results in, more amendments to the comp plan that either shrink that urban growth boundary further or, provides language about encouraging infill, et cetera. But you do need to consider applications, within the rules
yeah,
that they were applied within. Sorry,
perfect.
that was a terrible sentence, but
No, and I understand. And like, I mean, you guys have seen history of me being very clear on how those operate in voting in such a way. I just did feel like it was important to at least bring that to our attention. And yeah, but yes, I get it. And I think that's very true. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mary Elizabeth. Yep.
James?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Do I?
No,
All right, with that, would need a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance 2026-01, an ordinance annexing approximately 37.3 acres of property located at the 1179 17 Road and adjacent 17 Road right-of-way into the city of Fruita.
Second?
We have a first and a second. Any other questions, comments, or concerns before we vote?
No.
All right, Katie?
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Hansi?
Yes.
Counselor Purser?
Yes.
Counselor Parrish?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley?
Yes.
Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. We have ordinance 2026-02, which is also continued from our March 17th meeting. This is a second reading, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Fruita by zoning portions of the property located at 1179 17 Road to a community residential zone, a portion of rural estate zone, and a portion of community service and recreation zone. Joseph, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We're just going to go back and forth in terms of what we call you.
I'm calling him either, no matter what.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You asked for it.
The next item on tonight's agenda is application number 2025-20. Again, concerning the recently annexed property at 1179 17 Road. This is a request by the applicant to zone a portion of that property to a community residential zone, a portion to a rural estate zone, and a portion to a community services and recreation zone. Legal notice for this application was done via postcards, which were sent to property owners within a 350-foot buffer zone, in addition to posting of the site, posting at the Civic Center, and an ad that was taken out in the newspaper. So all legal notice was done in accordance with local and state law. When reviewing a rezoning application, there are in general 5 criteria in total to consider. Not all of those 5 criteria will ever apply to a single application. The ones that do apply are summarized above, those being that the zoning is compatible with surrounding land uses, it is consistent with the master plan, and it is incidental to an annexation application. The future land use map, which is the guiding document when considering zoning for parcels, designates pretty much the majority of this property as appropriate for residential development at 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre. A portion of the Big Salt Wash is located on this property, and the future land use map does seem to indicate that that natural feature is appropriate for land uses related to community recreation. So before getting into whether or not this zoning ordinance makes sense for this property, I wanted to go over the different zone types that the applicant is requesting. So the first being community residential. The purpose of the CR zone is to allow for moderate density, detached single-family residential neighborhoods with the inclusion of other housing types such as attached dwelling units, for example, apartments and townhouses. Innovative neighborhood design is encouraged in this zone district to provide opportunities for housing diversity. This area is served by public utility infrastructure and is appropriate for a density of 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre. The Community Services and Recreation Zone, the purpose is to provide public and private recreation land, facilities, schools, etc., and other public and quasi-public lands and buildings. This zone includes open space, areas which are set aside to prevent environmental damage to sensitive areas and to limit development in areas that are unsuitable for development due to flooding or geologic hazards. The CSR zone may be applied to parks, outdoor recreation facilities, open space corridors, environmental areas, trails, recreational facilities, and similar areas. The CSR zone helps implement the open space, trails, and parks policies of the city's master plan. The purpose of the rural estate zone is to allow low-density residential uses compatible with rural areas. Areas in this zone district serve as a transition between open and resource lands and increased development in the city. Cluster developments are not encouraged in this zone district, and city sewer is not typically provided due to the low-density nature of the development. So, as I understand it through conversations with the applicant, in an effort to address concerns raised during the neighborhood meeting, the applicant's proposing that the property be zoned according to their Exhibit B. It's important to note the acreages and boundaries shown in this exhibit are approximate, and a future subdivision will be required to confirm those proposed acreages and zone boundaries and will be reviewed against this exhibit. Excuse me. In order to get that subdivision, the applicant will have to conduct an additional neighborhood meeting before moving forward with the preliminary plan application. Design considerations will be discussed, and the subdivision, according to Exhibit B, will have to be demonstrated. So, in order to move forward with any of this, the applicant is going to have to get feedback from the neighbors, essentially. Another important thing to note is that approving this zoning does not exempt the applicant from the city's subdivision standards. So a lot of concerns, particularly relating to access, have been raised. So the approving this does not get rid of those access requirements. The applicant's still going to have to demonstrate that all parcels have appropriate access. This parcel, due to its proximity to the Big Salt Wash, does have some pretty significant flood zone restrictions that are applied to it. And so kind of looking at where the applicant is proposing their zone districts, the area that's outside of the floodplain roughly is what corresponds to that CR zone district. Since it's outside the floodplain, it is suitable for some kind of moderate density development. This area hatched off here is in the floodplain. More specifically, it's in the floodway, which is the more intense part of the floodplain. It roughly corresponds to where the applicant's proposing the CSR zone district, and it's generally not suitable for development. So that open space zoning is appropriate. And this area in blue and green is in a flood zone, but it's in the floodplain, which is less intense than the floodway. As I understand it, there are mitigation options available for development. It's certainly not suitable for moderate density or high density development, but there may be some mitigations available to do lower density, more rural scale development. So, what zones are supportable for this property? Well, the CR zone is supported by the city's future land use map. It is compatible with surrounding land uses, which are residential, and are also identified as suitable for that 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre according to the future land use map. The Community Services and Recreation is supported by the future land use designation for the Big Salt Wash. The Big Salt Wash Trail is identified as a primary trail in the Frost Master Plan, and primary trails are recreational uses suitable for development in the CSR zone. The rural estate zoning would provide kind of a buffer between the higher density development within the city and open resource lands. I talked about a little earlier how this parcel is towards the edge of that urban growth boundary. So essentially, that rural estate zone would kind of act as a buffer between the city and Mesa County. Additionally, the floodplain is not suited for moderate density, and larger lots may be supported by development requirements. So also additionally, as a condition of approval, as the ordinance is written, the property owner would be responsible to properly plat the boundaries of the aforementioned zone districts along legally established property lines. Staff wrote this, what we're calling the flu clause, into the ordinance. Basically, what we don't want is these amalgamous, approximate acreages of zoning floating out there. So this is kind of written as some kind of accountability on the developer's part. So in the event that the property owner fails to plat the boundaries according to their Exhibit B, the property would essentially revert to a future land use zone. And so the purpose of that zone is to enable planning for future annexations and to coordinate development pressures and planning needs with Mesa County. Development parameters are intended to support large lots and agricultural uses and allow low-density residential uses compatible with rural areas. If you look at the city's official zoning map, you'll find that no properties in the city have this zoning designation. That's because it's designed to be kind of a placeholder zone, kind of for situations like this. Another important thing to note with this zoning is that the assignment of this zone to this particular piece of property would not create any nonconformities. So in the event that the developer fails to develop the property, the property could continue to be used as it's currently being used without any conflicts. No reviewer expressed concerns with the zone request, and written public comments received by staff have been provided as part of the agenda packet. At their regularly scheduled February 10th meeting, the Planning Commission voted to recommend that the council approve the zoning with the condition that the applicant plat those legally established property lines along the boundaries according to their zoning Exhibit B. And part of their condition for this one also included that that 1-year timeline. Staff is of the opinion that's no longer required because it's covered by the annexation agreement at this point. So it's not included in staff's suggested motion for that reason. But on page 267 of your agenda packet, you'll find a suggested motion by staff recommending that the city council adopt ordinance 2026-02, annexing the property into the city of Fruita with the condition that the property owner legally establish those property lines according to their zoning Exhibit B, and that all review comments and issues identified in the staff report be adequately resolved. Next steps, if approved, the rezone will be effective 30 days after adoption of the ordinance. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Would the applicant like to come up and?
Yeah, hi, thanks. Keith Ellers, applicant representative. Again, not a large presentation. As you can tell, there's been quite a process and a lot of conversation with multiple facets of staff to kind of get to where we're at here. But I did want to kind of point out, in addition to the staff report and the very large packet that you guys have there, that this application of zoning and how the annexation agreement came to be, it is a result of the process. This was never a, hey, we've got a great idea and you're going to love it. This was a process that started in actually a very different way, and then through the feedback, in large part from the public and whatnot, and then conversations with staff, there was a way to start to manage those. And one of the primary ones that I think is worth pointing out is that, you know, the future land use calls this as 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre for the entire property. And so one of the concerns that the public had brought up was that, boy, look at the acreage, you know, ×4 or ×8. God, there's a lot of homes that could be put out there. And so an approach was presented that helped to mitigate that. So effectively downzoning that whole swath down there that, you know, the floodplain makes portions of it unsuitable, but then the remainder of it is absolutely suitable. And furthermore, if it was zoned the other way, it does provide some opportunities, of course, with allowances and permissions, but there are some code support to allow that density to happen maybe more in the other areas. So to mitigate that concern, this thing was really downgraded. And it started to then address some of the approach in the annexation agreement that is intended to create a balance and an appropriate kind of set of trade-offs there. So that's really I wanted to kind of just rehash the how we got here and why this may look unique. It's because it's in response and part of a conversation. And at the end of the day, the applicant is also who developed the property to the south, the subdivision there. And one thing that we've certainly noticed in the hearings in neighborhoods and the comments that get submitted is that there seems to be a real zeal of those neighbors down there about what that property means to them and a concern that it could be disrupted. And I think that's a testament to what gets provided by the applicant. And that really what we're trying to do here is extend those same opportunities onto others that might enjoy those same sorts of things. So want to continue to be part of that conversation. And also we're at this stage and really looking forward to being able to progress here this evening. So with that, if there are any questions or if you'd like to wait until some public comment, we're here for it.
Thank you. With that, we would like to,
And I wanted to give you a little bit of background because Keith wasn't involved at first.
Ron, can you introduce yourself?
Ron Abelow, live at 720 Bella Canyon Drive, Grand Junction, and representing Chaparral West, which is our construction and development company here. And yes, we developed Orchard Ridge just to the south of this, the last two filings of that. But the way this came about was the property owner for this property that we're talking about here tonight had started the process with the county. They were going to develop this in the county into some larger lots. And during that time, their realtor said, we should talk to Ron, and we think that might be advisable. So when I went and looked at the property, I then called staff, Dan Karras, and I said, you need to come and look at this. So we met out on the property, and Dan had already researched it and looked and says, there's 2,500 feet of big salt wash here. That the city of Fruita wants that. And I said, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense because it's not developable. And what a great opportunity to connect that trail up. So this should be developed in the city, not in the county, because the city stands to really benefit from that trail connection. And then it kind of grew from there. We started looking at floodway, floodplain. As you can see, a majority of this property is not developable. So the economics come into play. Somehow or another, we have to generate enough revenue to do all this stuff. So we need density where it makes sense so we can generate revenue and reason to do all these other things. So in working with staff, we came up with what we think is a really unique project that has, you know, the density to support all of the open space. A good portion of this is going to be either limited outdoor recreation or preserve pretty much how it is now, more like pasture land for the wildlife and ag purposes, because there's really not a whole lot else you can do with it. Some of it may lend itself to a couple of acreage lots down below. Can't sewer it, so it makes no sense. And then up top, more intense development. It's still not going to be there's limitations to what we can do there based on access. It's not like we can build, 75 lots in there on that basically 6-7 acres that we can make use of. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm envisioning something that is very compatible with Orchard Ridge. A little bit more density, but not much. Variable lot sizes in there, because I think that's what that area calls for. And I think that also is very compatible for that area. There's also a fair amount of demand for that. We get calls all the time for that part of Fruita. It's a desirable area. So given that, I will shut up, and I'm just wondering whether your name's either or either. And here to answer any questions you might have.
Right. Thank you. That would like to open ordinance 2026-02. I know on one side I think it was listed as 20, but it's 2026-02. I'd like to open that up for public comment. Now, you please come up to the microphone. And we're going to ask. We're nice about it. But if you could state your name.
Again, I'm Constance Combs. I'm a resident of Fruita, and I'm interested in affordable housing. And so I am going to ask, don't remember, Joey, in your, by the way, very good presentation that even I could understand that. How many residences are we talking about in that CR, the one that's about residences, numbers? And is the word affordability in that development? I like the words around density. Density means that you don't have to make so much money after each one. So those are my questions.
Thank you. Mary Elizabeth, is there something you wanted to?
Oh, I was just going to chime in and remind the public that council and the applicant will hear all public comment first, and then we'll have an opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant for clarification based upon public comments that were made.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Please, sir, come on up. Once again, if you could state your name and whether or not you're a resident.
Yes, my name is Elliot Ramage. I actually live in Orchard Ridge, and I'm not a paid spokesman. I'm just trying to show up as a neighbor in that area. And one of the things I'm pretty sure of is that most people haven't taken the time to read the full response in the packet of the number of people in our neighborhood that are against the proposal that's happening. I feel like oftentimes in development, someone slick shows up, they do a great job. I completely believe there are many benefits to what I saw tonight, but I also think that there are things in this neighborhood that just our neighborhood. I walk around every day with my dog and I talk to people about this. And the general vibe is that people do not like what's happening. And a lot of it is because it's not clear on exactly what is happening. What is the plan? How many houses will be there? Where are they going to be? And I think there's just a lot of confusion around it. So I was really appreciative of what Janine was suggesting, that maybe there is an actual survey of all of the residents of the community, asking them how many houses would they like to see in that area. This whole thing, I went to the round table where all the council members were speaking as to what they wanted to see in our city. And one of the most common things that kept coming up was the need for affordable housing and how it would be better to concentrate it in our downtown area. Yet this is taking and shifting some of that, at least, out onto the edge of the town. I moved my business and myself here from Wyoming to be in the country, to have those grand views, the open spaces. And most of the people, a lot of the retirees that you talk to out there, that's what they really care about. And I think there's some effort in what we were hearing, but I think there's a lot that's being overlooked. So I really just wish that there could continue to be this process where these actual neighbors in this neighborhood, I hate getting up here and talking and you're not hearing these voices. That's why reading that packet is so essential. And there's also things that have happened in our neighborhood with this developer where we don't feel as the neighbors like we have been taken care of. And so I have to say that. I don't want to say that, but it's like something like, if no one ever says it, and I can give you specific examples if you would like to hear those things, but there are concerns like what will be done? Will what was said to be done actually be done? So those things, along with the wildlife concerns, the road concerns out there. I mean, one of my favorite things every day is driving home and seeing all the kids walking up 17 Road. They don't have any supervision. They're on their bikes. They're very safe until it's a dead end and then it goes like the sidewalk into nowhere. But, you know, like that we can keep that vibe that we all value, the people that have been here, like Amy and her family for multiple generations, or newbies like me for, you know, 3 years, that we get to continue that safety, the amount of traffic that's going to be on that road. There's already accidents happening at the entrance to Orchard Ridge. The traffic that comes behind the hospital, we're going to probably have to consider a stoplight there. I think we all need to see what the city is contributing to these projects on the bottom line, and also like what the outcomes are of the actual neighborhood in the greater city.
Thank you very much. All right, is anybody else would like to come up and make comment? Once again, if you could please state your name and whether or not you're a resident.
Jamie Fuller, and I've lived in Fruita for 20 years. The concern that I haven't seen addressed is that the salt wash is a known wildlife corridor. And we know sometimes there's mountain lions walking around our town already. And so mountain lions and bears and other animals coming through there, it does look like they're just want to see space protected so that the animals aren't up in the neighborhood with the cats and the dogs and in the trash and the problems that that could cause. And so I'm sure as you're looking at density, you know, the more people you have in there, the more pets, the more all of that. So I just wanted to say, you know, please think about the wildlife too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council.
Well, I was curious to the same thing that they just brought up anyway. And Ron had mentioned that originally there was something like 75 lots or something like that. Do we have an approximate number of what you guys are thinking you're going to do?
Yeah, it will be less than 40 lots. And, you know, until we get annexed and zoned, we can't
Sure.
know what to design.
So there's the 3 different spots in the one that we're talking about. What was the size of that one again? Either
About 7 acres.
about 7 acres. So we're talking about 40 homes in that 7 acres.
Well,
Ish.
It's going to be between 30 and 40. We don't know until we get in there and do final design. We have to meet all the criteria with the development engineer. But
it gives us a ballpark
Gives you-
that we at least kind of have an idea.
gives you a-
'Cause originally it looked like it said 70-ish.
I don't know where that came from. That
Was in a con.
That was just a comment. Okay. Yeah. And that's, I just wanted to get
That
some
wasn't-
clarity on those ideas.
That wasn't.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Thanks. I just wanted to clear that.
Going down that same topic, so we got the 3 zones. CR, you're saying less than 40 homes. Are you looking to do build anything in the CSR?
Yeah,
Perfect.
nothing there.
And then
the other one was like,
and I think that's important to note too, that CSR is on the west side where where the floodplain is, where the wildlife is. So we're talking, that was what, 15, 20 acres or whatnot. That's in that part, the CSR is going to be given to the city, right?
Yeah, all from the center line of the wash, 100 feet in, that gets deeded to the city. And then the rest of it will remain, I mean, you can't develop, you can't build anything in it. You can't put any structures in it. You can't do anything like that. That the city would like to see maybe a park area in there, a parking lot to access the trail, some things like that you can do in there, but you can't do anything.
But that land will also be, that pretty much the CR is going to be, or CSR is going to be deeded to the city.
Yes.
Just
No, it's not going to be deeded to the city.
Hey, Joey, will you pull that, the
map.
one up that has the 3 different spaces for us so that we can actually look at what we're talking about? The slide that has it, what page is it?
It's 257 in the packet.
Thank you. Would you say page 257?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, just while he's pulling that up, my name is Henry. I'm the planning director. I just want to kind of remind everyone of kind of the approval criteria for this application. So there's 5 to consider, but really you only need 2. There are some or statements after the first one. And so you need the first one, which is the proposed rezone is compatible with surrounding land uses, and community residential or residential 4 to 8 is a supported zone district that our future land use map and our comprehensive plan show. And the other zone districts are essentially removing themselves from the community residential zone in response to some of the topography and the geography, and also some feedback that was received at the neighborhood meeting and responses to the planning commission meeting. So just wanted to veer back to those approval criteria. Is it consistent with our future land use map? And then is it incidental to the annexation, which those 2 criteria have been addressed in the staff report.
Thank you, Henry.
You see the blue hatched area, that's all floodway. So it's not, you can't develop it. You can't do much in it. Like I said, the only thing that was discussed on staff is staff would like to take a part of that for a park, and they'd like to take a part of it for a parking lot to access the trail. The only part that you can even potentially have anything done with it, and it's minimum 3-acre lot size, is the blue, the solid blue area. Right, but we don't even know if that's feasible.
That's that rural estate zone.
Yeah. But like I said, until we get annexed and zoned, now we know what we can design to.
So that's suitable for development areas. That's the 6 acres that we're talking about that would have the 30 or 40.
Yeah. In preliminary layouts, we were landing in the 30 and low 30s. We never found a way to get even above 35, but until we actually get into the engineering layout,
So roughly 5 per acre.
And I don't want to make representations that might be different than what we designed, but just being honest with you, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay, no, that gives us a clear picture. Thank you.
Go through a separate, like,
Absolutely.
you and like, I mean,
I just wanted a really clear layout of what we're really looking at, what we're thinking is going to happen there, so to kind of clarify it for everyone.
I'm back. I was just going to add to that, that I think Councilor Miller was kind of hinting towards this. Preliminary plan will go through a whole nother public vetting process.
Sure.
And that's where the specifics will be. So this is just zoning. I shouldn't say just zoning, but this is zoning, which will of course then dictate what could happen in there. But the preliminary plan is what will have those specifics, and what will then get, fully vetted back through the planning commission, public comment, public review. I believe Joey even mentioned, additional possible public meetings, in the neighborhood. So there will be a lot of eyes on this as it develops.
Sorry. A preliminary plan through our land use code is an administrative process, but there will be a public process through the neighborhood meeting before any preliminary plan is even submitted to staff, and staff attends all those neighborhood meetings.
My apologies. Thank you for correcting me.
I do appreciate, thank you, Council, for asking questions to make sure we understand as well. So.
Yeah, that's a lot clearer to me, at least, that what we're dealing with here. And
applaud the efforts that have been made to mitigate and look at those kinds of things and take into account public. Sure. It seems to me that those things have been met, and I think it's a good plan.
I do too. And I just want to clarify, I would have been remiss not to bring up what I brought up when we were talking about the thing before this, but it has nothing to do with this project. I think it's clear just what you all were talking about, that there has been a lot of communication and conversations and working and trying to take back neighbors' comments as well as staff comments. And this represents so much of really a lot of things that we have hoped to see. And so I think it's very well done.
Yeah, I appreciate the process, and I think it's great that we've been this project's been flexible to meet the transparency for the community. Of course, property rights are paramount, and but it's nice that we have guiding principles within the community with the master comp plan and the land use codes to help really guide where the community wants to see, generally speaking, where things are going. I really appreciate how we have that flu safety net within the plan. And I really appreciate how we are going to have a publicized neighborhood meeting before the development plan is set in stone, so that we can continue to have good communication and good transparency. Because it's, as I've read through the comments, there's a lot of valid concerns that we have. And I think that as we've heard through this presentation, I think a lot of those have been mitigated and will be further mitigated as we are understood and communicated when we have that future neighborhood meeting. But to me, it seems like it meets all the criteria for a rezone, and it sounds like that's all been the three different zoning areas look very responsible in how they're going to help with the community. And I do appreciate like the CSR zone, where a lot of that's going to be, or all of it will be deeded over to the city, to where we can have open space and parks or whatnot as we go forward in the thing. So I really appreciate landowners, developers working with the community to have something for the community. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with what Aaron was saying, and going through the comments and stuff, it gave me a lot of pause, and that's why I really wanted to break that down and really look at what was being proposed. And if by looking at the comments, it seems like there's been a response from the earlier comments to try to get to a place that was more fitting. And it seems to me like there's been a lot of motion that way. So I'm pretty comfortable with it myself at this point.
Okay. With that, does somebody care to make a motion?
I move to adopt ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Fruita by zoning a portion of property located at 1179 17 Road to a community residential zone, a portion to a rural estate zone, and a portion to a community service and recreation zone.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from council before we go to a vote?
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. This takes us to item E on the agenda, ordinance 2026-03, second reading. An ordinance amending certain section of Title 17 of the Fruita Municipal Code to comply with certain mandates set by the state of Colorado. Joseph?
Mr. Mayor, before we dive into turf, would you mind if we take a quick little break?
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, Joey.
Short recess.
It is, the time is 8:38.
Been wiggling for a
We're
minute.
going to do an 8-minute recess.
Thank you.
So we'll come back at 8:40. So.
Yeah.
What?
A little water or
Oh,
complex.
I wish the gentleman was here. The thing is, you can, CR is, the access is.
You don't want to get picked on anymore? I was good.
Where she usually do that.
No, he always goes like the next person.
So,
I've never noticed that.
yeah, the thing, so Amy's not always the last, and
Yeah.
James is not always the
Not always
first, so
the first.
everybody has the same.
Because it does kind of put you on the hot seat if you're neutral. But it's not, I didn't mind, but that it is different. The next one will be.
I just remember.
You can do it any way you want.
I think
Perfect.
I've been acting, I've done it.
It doesn't, it's not the.
What really screws up council is if it's like Amanda, you're first. You're
I'll do that. We'll do that.
Confuses the crap out of us.
These are handouts from that. You guys are gonna have to share these.
I'll share it with the mayor.
Yeah. Anybody?
What time she get up?
Out up there. They're passing out. You guys are gonna have to share it. Okay. Oh, we have that. What? Right.
There, maybe I put right in there's a pen. Hey. But I ended up.
I told Janine I need like a.
Don't use meatloaf.
No. Is meatloaf?
Yes.
Why? That is very good. Okay.
makes perfect sense.
Yes, it does. It sure does.
Thank my wife for that.
Did you write down
Yeah. I know.
that we have to come back? Okay.
No, you know.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Write it down on the box. So, not for the
What?
Mark.
Did you do it?
It was dark.
Oh,
I'm running down the street
no.
in the dark, hoping I didn't get hit by a car.
What's the event that's happening that they're setting up for?
Desert Rats race.
I don't remember seeing that in the Friday newsletter.
It was.
I missed that.
All I know is I pulled in this morning. I'm like, oh, tonight's going to be garbage for parking.
Right.
Oh.
'Cause I barely got one this morning.
Oh yeah.
I was like, can I park here? Because I had a cone at the end, but and no, this is closed, but right next to me where I parked, it was out and then had the sign.
Sorry, we were rehashing March Madness.
Rubbing in Yukon.
All right, we still have 2 minutes. 'Cause I,
Oh, good.
I gave the time.
We're generous.
Do anything?
You know, if I Our meeting, we're picking up on item E, ordinance 2026-03. This is a second reading of an ordinance amending certain sections of Title 17 of the Fruita Municipal Code to comply with certain mandates set by the state of Colorado. And Joseph, our city planner, you're up yet again.
Thank you for your patience, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As the mayor said, this next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2026-03. It is a set of land use code amendments that are being driven by certain state mandates. Those state mandates, essentially what these land use code amendments would do is it would alter certain landscaping standards of the city of Fruita, and it would amend the definition of the term family in order to meet those mandates. Legal notice for these land use code amendments were done via an ad that was taken out in the newspaper and a posting at the Civic Center. So legal notice was done in accordance with state and local law. Some background on the first mandate comes from Senate Bill 24-005. Now, what this bill initially did was it mandated that local governments have to act to prohibit the installation of non-functional turf on certain properties. The bill was then updated in 2025 as House Bill 25-1113. Originally, the bill did not include any residential property. This bill now includes certain multifamily residential properties. And it additionally specified that artificial turf can be installed, but non-functional artificial turf cannot be installed. Some of the definitions proposed by House Bill 25-1113 include definitions for turf, functional artificial turf, non-functional turf, and non-functional artificial turf. In order to prohibit non-functional turf, you have to define it. And these definitions that are being proposed to be added to the city's land use code are pretty much identical to what's required by the state. We did kick around some ideas. Certain municipalities are being more specific with their definition of functional turf. For example, putting certain size and dimensional requirements on top of it. But my understanding of the ethos is the city is a little flexibility is a good thing. So we didn't want to put ourselves in a situation where a developer's potentially proposing something pretty cool that might be good for the city, but doesn't meet the exact definition of functional turf. So for that reason, that definition is pretty much identical to what's being proposed by the state, and it's fairly flexible. So what we're looking at as a difference between what is functional turf and what's non-functional turf. Functional turf is turf generally that can be used. For example, baseball fields, golf courses, open spaces in neighborhoods. Non-functional turf, on the other hand, is more often to come in the form of parking lot islands and road verges that aren't really usable for recreation purposes. So instead of landscaping like this, you're more likely to get landscaping like this. So kind of getting into some of the exact language that's proposed to be amended. The bill requires that noxious weeds and invasive plant species not be installed. Effectively, the land use code already does this, but we just added a sentence to make it explicit. And then to the other change to 17.11.050 would be the prohibition of non-functional turf. It further stipulates that where ground cover is required by this title, it has to be accomplished without the use of non-functional turf. I apologize. Essentially non-functional turf or non-functional artificial turf. This prohibition would apply to common interest community property, so like HOA property, street rights of way, parking lots, medians, transportation corridors, commercial properties, institutional properties, industrial properties, or multifamily residential housing premises property. Something to note is that it does not regulate turf on individual single-family properties. In addition to the definitions proposed by the state, staff is proposing some supplemental definitions to make it easier for us to kind of regulate those types of properties where non-functional turf is not allowed. In addition, we're proposing some slight modifications to some existing definitions in the city's land use code. Really, we didn't want any kind of connotation suggesting that turf might be allowed in a certain area. I've been in situations where developers are pretty nitpicky about words. So things like aesthetic relief could imply perhaps some kind of acceptance for non-functional turf, and lawn does have an obvious implication. So functionally, these wouldn't really change anything in how enforcement happens, but it felt better to do this than to open up some possibilities where loopholes could be found. Some miscellaneous modifications include the specification that in open space, turf has to be functional, in addition to referring back to that prohibition that's being proposed to be added to section 17.11.050 and other parts of the city's land use code. There are some proposals being made to slightly change the requirements for landscaping of parking areas. These aren't necessarily tied to the state mandates, but it felt like a good opportunity to clean up some language. For example, where it says shrubs and or ground cover, it feels more appropriate to require shrubs and ground cover, as well as specifying that parking islands have to have some kind of appropriate ground cover. Furthermore, changes are or a sentence is being proposed to specify that any turf or artificial turf installed within public parks or open space shall be functional as defined by the title, and then a further reference back to that prohibition that would be contained in 17.11.050. These modifications, so currently the land use code reads in a lot of areas that the use of desert landscaping or low water usage plant species as identified by the Colorado State University Tri-River Extension Service is required. What this is doing is it's referencing a document external to the city's code of laws, basically. And so for clarity, for staff, and for potential developers, it seemed to make a little more sense to refer to an internal document that's codified by the city of Fruita. So we're proposing that where that sentence exists in the land use code, it be modified to read xeriscape suitable plantings as identified as Appendix A of the Fruita land use code is required. If I'm reading this code section and these two sentences, they effectively mean the same thing to me. So functionally, I don't think this will affect anything. There's also been some concern brought up about these regulations potentially being applied retroactively. That's not really, I hate to use the term legal, but there's been a lot of case law on things that are essentially grandfathered in. So any area of non-functional turf that currently exists in the city that would be prohibited under this ordinance would become a pre-existing nonconformity. Nonconformities in general can be continued, meaning you don't have to fix the situation. They can be maintained and they can be repaired. They can't, generally speaking, be expanded or modified in a manner that's not in conformance with the land use code or be reestablished after a period of abandonment, which I believe in our non-conforming section is 12 months. The reason you don't see any changes around the city's non-conformity section in the ordinance as it's written is that our current threshold of 50% is what's required by the state mandate. So staff didn't feel a need to modify that at all. We might as well just leave it how it is if it's in conformance with the state mandate. The second mandate that these land use code amendments would bring the city into conformance with have to do with group residency. The state's passed a law in House Bill 24-1007, basically stating that municipalities in the state of Colorado can no longer limit occupancy of a housing unit based on blood relation. The Department of Local Affairs recommends a pretty simple solution to come into conformance with this mandate by amending the definition of family. So this would be the new definition of family. It would specify that a family includes people who live together that aren't necessarily related by blood, and it does not place a limit on that amount. One thing that this mandate does not do is limit the city's ability to regulate max occupancy as it relates to the building code. So in this definition, the number of persons occupying a dwelling unit shall not exceed the maximum permitted by the applicable adopted building code or safety code, or by applicable state or federal law or regulation, or by affordable housing guidelines, et cetera. So there are still some safeguards there to make sure that occupancy of structures is still safe. We just can't necessarily regulate it using zoning anymore. Review criteria for land use code amendments. Amendments have to be consistent with the city's goals, policies, and comprehensive plan. While these amendments are not being driven by those goals, policies, and comprehensive plan, they're being driven by state mandate. Staff has no reason to believe that they conflict with the city's goals, policies, and comprehensive plan. No reviewer expressed concerns with the text amendments. No public comments have been received by staff at this time. At the Planning Commission's regularly scheduled February 10th meeting, they recommended that the City Council approve the amendments as written with no conditions. On page 327, you'll see a suggested motion. Staff is recommending that the council adopt ordinance 2026-03. And next steps, if approved, the land use code amendments will become effective 30 days after the ordinance is adopted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, would like to open up ordinance 2026-03 to public comment. If anybody would like to come up and comment, please do so at this time. And the record, kindly state your name and if you're a resident.
Tessa Bynum, I am a resident. No, Jane. Okay. I appreciate you guys working on this so hard. It does mean a lot to me. So when I read the House Bill 251113, my understanding was that it required regulation of non-functional turf in new development and redevelopment, but then it also expands to all residential properties by 2028. You can see section 3, it's 3799-1035A. And then you can also look at 3799-3015B 1, 2, and 3 that also states that certain grass seeds and sod can be installed. So I just want to get clarification on both of those things because it doesn't mention that anything in this ordinance. I also may be misunderstanding, but it seems to indicate that a phased approach for residential properties is appropriate, and that's also not mentioned in our thing that we're talking about right now. So I just want to make sure that it's clear for residents, especially because you guys are the self-proclaimed council that doesn't kick anything down the road. And I'm also interested in knowing how the standards are going to be applied in practice, not just on paper, so that it's consistent and nothing is left out for interpretation. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Tess. With that, is there any other public comment? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. So any questions for staff or any need for clarification?
I want to ask a question, and I know the answer to it, and I hate the answer, but can I ask Mary Elizabeth a question?
I'm not going to say no to that.
I might say no. I'm just kidding.
I know what you're going to tell me, and I don't want to know it, but I have to ask. There's no way we can push back on this, right? It's just a mandate from the state, and we're stuck with our concrete jungle that they want, right?
That's correct.
Right. Thank you. Just needed to know for sure.
I mean, I guess I should caveat that with, I mean, the city always has the option to sue, but I would not advise that that's the best use of, the city's time and money.
Sure. All right. Just wanted to make sure that there wasn't an option to get out of this.
No, sorry about that.
And following along, when do we have to be forcefully compliant?
Joey, do you have that in front of you?
30 days after, didn't he?
No, I'm saying when's the state gonna,
When,
would they
yeah, when
start
did,
negatively
We're
impacting?
past the deadline, actually. It was January 1st.
Okay.
Fine.
And then I guess
Just
let's
voting.
bring into what Tessa was talking about too. And that's a big fear that I have, that sure, right now they're grandfathered in, but you know how they work. So sooner or later down the road, they're going to try and figure out a way to jack people and take it away. So like she was saying that it said by 28 that this could go back to
Residential.
all residential. Does that mean previous ones that were already existing? So people are going to end up having to rip theirs up?
Again, most likely the way I'm reading that section of the mandate, it would not be applied retroactively, so those properties would still remain a pre-existing non-conforming status.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Most likely makes me a little nervous.
well, I can elaborate on that. It is unlawful to retroactively, apply a law unless there's some specific reason to do so and a specific statement that that is what is happening. So,
They can just
retro.
say that we don't have enough water, and that'll be their specific reason, and that'll get them where they
No,
want to
I mean,
go.
but it's not applied retroactively. So
Okay.
that will be grandfathered in. Now, if somebody wanted to completely change their landscaping
Sure.
and they had been grandfathered in based upon, whatever landscaping they had, and let's say they had 400 square feet of lawn and they wanted to expand that to 6, I think that's probably going to be problematic because
Sure.
grandfathering typically applies to what you have today is going to continue to be non-conforming, but once you go and want to change that, especially enlarge it, then you got to start to follow the rules.
Great.
But after this summer, this summer is going to be a real test of all of the water.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Just wanted to make sure that I was bummed on for real.
Oh, go ahead.
I did just want to kind of expand on that 2028 deadline. The bill as written currently gives the council a lot of discretion in how like that turf on residential property is regulated. It basically says, hey, city council, figure something out. And another mandate that the state's got is this is a water element portion of a comprehensive plan that we're going to have to adopt. I think it would be interesting to kind of get some community feedback about what they would like to see in order for the city to comply with that 2028 deadline. By what methods should the city regulate turf on residential property? And I think it gives the council a lot more direction and what the community wants, and it also gives the community an opportunity to have some feedback.
I like that.
One quick question. If a property does not have access to ditch or non-potable water, does Ute Water currently allow outside watering?
We, Mary Elizabeth, this is Henry, City Fruita. Obviously, sorry, I don't know why I said that. We coordinate with Ute Water on a case-by-case basis for site plan review, projects like that would be applied. They don't typically like to take the stance to use potable water for irrigation purposes. And so we have had to pivot in the past with regards to, drought tolerant landscaping or getting creative with other alternatives like artwork or boulders, rocks, certain things like that. A mix of rock types or colors adds to the landscape aesthetic to a site too. And so, again, we work with Ute Water closely on a case-by-case basis where that applies.
Okay, the reason I asked that question is just going forward when council has these conversations, you aren't a water provider. So, except for to the extent you have shares, in the ditches that you allow, are utilized in various subdivisions. So just be mindful of that because Ute will be making its own rules about use of its water for outdoor purposes.
I don't think we have many examples where that's actually the case, though.
Right.
You probably
Sorry,
don't.
Yeah.
Well, when they actually just came in and told us how happy they were that we have the situation that we have here, the way that
Yeah.
we use the canals and thems because it doesn't hit them as hard. So
Yeah,
they seem
that's
like they're
absolutely
pretty
right.
happy with it.
Joey, I want to commend you on your work on this and you guys cleaning all of that up. I mean, not just like this specific, but I think it's always really nice when we can just take these opportunities to clean up as much as we can. I also appreciate that you kept it as flexible as possible. That's, how we try to keep things flexible, and also not allowing the noxious weeds. I think being specific about that is good, because I know people can get a little vindictive and say, okay, fine, I'm going to plant kochia weeds. Thank you.
Just out of clarity, although we always prefer to have local control, clearly, a good share of what this entails, we already had in place on our own. Is that correct?
Yeah, largely, I would say that the specificity of the non-functional turf in like right-of-way areas, like road verges, I don't think our land use code was doing that. So, and like parking islands, I'm fairly certain you could still have done grass or like a high water usage type of turf. But like functionally, most of the development is gonna look pretty similar to what we're getting now.
Us as a city, we have shifted to this.
That's
like that shift is made.
That was my question.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like on our landscaping.
Exactly.
On city-owned property. Yeah.
But, for CDOT right of ways and everything else, this does not apply to them.
What?
It would, doesn't it?
Right. No, as I'm looking at like 6 and 50, here's like 6 and 50.
It's going to apply to them.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
does?
it's applying across the state. It's not just, municipality.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
Right.
it's an effort by the state to conserve water.
The concrete jungle. Yeah.
Thank you, Mary Elizabeth, for the.
Couldn't want
You're
green
welcome.
more.
It's too bad it's not a completely resource that we have lots and lots of. Like I said, I think this summer is going to be a real test for sure.
It's beginning of time.
Any other questions or comments? Council.
Want to follow up on a public comment, the application, how is it applied? How is it?
We currently don't require like landscaping permits, so if someone wants to go out and just kind of do something with their landscaping, we're not very likely to catch it. I don't believe it's going to be the city's policy to like very aggressively enforce this.
And the state's not coming down to.
No.
Yeah, let's
I would be
that. I like that. Let's stay right
Yeah, but
there.
there's still a challenge if somebody does something and then you go to sell it
Yeah.
and then the timing and everything else. I mean, there's still.
The guys have the tools if they need them,
Yes.
but just not need them that much.
Are we good? Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance 2026-03, an ordinance amending certain sections of Title 17 of the Fruita Municipal Code to comply with certain mandates set by the state of Colorado.
Second.
Who was the second?
I'm second.
All right. So before we go to a vote, any other questions, comments, concerns?
So glad we have to do this.
There's a comment.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish, Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller, Counselor Williams.
No.
Motion passes 5-1.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Our last resolution, Joseph, you're not up for this. So, which is Resolution 2026-16, amending the 2026 budget with supplemental appropriations for special projects, capital equipment, and initially included in the 2025 annual budget. Krista, you are up. And there's a lot here.
Yes, there is.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Krista Yamashita, Finance Director. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. Resolution 2026-16 is a supplemental appropriation of funds in the General Fund, Community Center Fund, Capital Projects Fund, and Sewer Fund to complete projects that were included in the 2025 budget that were not completed for various reasons, and also to purchase equipment that was in the 2025 budget that did not get purchased in the year. There's a table included in the cover sheet that highlights all the changes to the budget. The majority of these are rollovers from the prior year, so there's no new funding. It's just reappropriating the funds from last year to this year. There is one new appropriation for $2.1 million for a CDOT off-system roads bridge grant that we received for the Maple Strip Bridge replacement. I just want to touch on a few of the major reappropriations, and then you can ask any questions. So we have 1.9 million that we need to reappropriate for the completion of the South Mesa Street construction. That's just the capital project side of it. For the sewer side of it, it's only 129,000. Okay. For the Maple Street Bridge, we are asking for 4.5 million, which includes 58,000 for the right-of-way land acquisition, 159,000 for the design, and then 4.3 million for the actual construction of it. There is 385,000 that we're asking to reappropriate for the right-of-way land acquisition for the J Road project. And then on the sewer side, only 42,500 for the design of the UV redundancy at the wastewater plant. Are there any questions?
First, we need to open this up for public comment. So with that, I'd like to open up Resolution 2026-16 for public comment. All right. Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council. Thank you. So as we look through this, there's a lot of items on here. Can you go into, because most of these are, reappropriations from 2025 with grant money and stuff like that. But the first one, the CDOT off-system road bridge grant. So where is this money coming from? Can you go into those details?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, for the opportunity to present. So yeah, a few months ago, CDOT let staff know that there would be an opportunity for an off-systems bridge grant, which comes up every once in a while, but they were working with our engineering staff on the replacement of the Maple Street Bridge, and they said that, most likely due to how long it's been since we got original funding for that project, we got congressional directed spending for that, I think back in 2021. But with that kicked in certain federal requirements and now CDOT requirements that it could be a good project that's eligible for supplemental funds. So they encouraged us to apply for those supplemental funds, and we did. And Katie, our management analyst, and John Bolin, our city engineer, did a great job, and we were awarded the $2.1 million in supplemental funds. So we're not sure how much of that we're going to use. We anticipate going out to bid soon. So again, actual construction costs for that, but it does give us some flexibility if the bid comes in over what we initially budgeted several years ago, which I would say is a very high possibility, but you never know. So this just appropriates the grant that was awarded to us.
How does it apply in with the Maple Street Bridge design, land acquisition, and construction line item that we already have?
Yep. So those are funds that we received and that we budgeted in prior budgets. So $1.75 million was from that congressional directed spending. We have a $750,000 grant from Mesa County as well. And then we had about $250,000 of our own dollars for that project. So when we initially included that project in the budget, we thought it was going to be right around 2.5. Maybe 2.6. So that's what's left over as we've been going through each process. A lot of these projects, they do take multiple years, especially starting at, right away to design to construction. So some of these are projects that have been rolled over last year and even the year prior to that, just because how long of a time they can take.
Thank you. Good question, James.
Are we saying that bridge is going to cost $4 million?
We have grant funds of over $4 million with this appropriation if it does, but we won't know actual costs until we get our bids back.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, out of our funds, it's really costing us 250. That's what we're spending on that bridge.
What we've budgeted already.
Well, I'm ish, but that's really good use of funds.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
Yeah.
it needs to be pointed out that
Yeah. Yeah.
getting a bridge for
Pretty cool.
300 less, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We now have an in-house engineer too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
And there was a public comment earlier that I could address. So we are so close on the right of way for 19 Road. So council asked a few months ago for a recap of our right of way expenses, or our 19 Road expenses, which will include the right of way. So we do have that on the books as soon as we wrap up. We're so close, only I think one or two more. So we'll be able to provide that. And then another thing too is we did receive our permit for that work along the culvert as well. And I forwarded that to council last week.
And just to go along with that, like we expanded 19 Road in anticipation for growth, and we will be reimbursed a certain amount through impact fees of future developments along that road.
Yeah, we've been receiving sewer reimbursements for that project as taps have went in, and you'll actually see that as a line item budget in our sewer fund, and there'll be more to come as well. The initial sewer expansion, we got $200,000 in a developer disbursement to us to help us apply for the grant that got us the ability to expand that sewer line. Unfortunately, that first contractor we had fell through, so we had to get supplemental funds, but we eventually got it done. So yeah, that's being repaid over time, as is standard for a lot of these public infrastructure improvements. We either repay ourselves through transportation impact fees or these recaptures.
So we're not rating our fund.
No.
Just going around making sure. All right, with that, would entertain a motion.
I move to adopt resolution 2026-16, a resolution amending the budget with supplemental appropriations for special projects, capital projects, equipment initially included in the 2025 annual budget.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any other questions, comments, or concerns before we go to vote? All right, seeing none.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams, Counselor Hancy. Motion passes 6-0.
Great, thank you very much. Before we head into city manager's report, we need to jump back to item D. That was on the consent agenda. And that was the liquor license renewal, or the liquor license sidewalk restaurant permit and takeout and delivery permit renewal.
Yeah, now Deb,
Reckless.
some questions.
Right. So my understanding is, were you able to get some additional information?
Yeah, we do have our city clerk, Deb Woods, up here. The three questions, Deb, I may get them incorrect, but is that restaurant in compliance with everything as far as the city of Fruita with licenses and fees, apart from the license expired? And also, do we have any update on the tax status of that establishment as well?
So good evening, Mayor, City Council, Deb Woods, City Clerk. Reckless did have the two violations that you saw in the council packet that occurred last year. And they have taken care of those with the Colorado Department of Revenue. However, tax records with the Department of Revenue are confidential, and I'm not allowed to access those records. I believe Krista can, but I cannot. And so I don't know if they're actually current with the Department of Revenue or not. I know that they did pay all of their late penalties. And I'm talking about the tax part of it, not the liquor part of it, because it's still both the Colorado Department of Revenue. But they have paid all the late penalties for the liquor license that has expired and have filed all the forms that they need to. So they're trying to get active and in good standing again. And I really recommended that Russell be here tonight, but I don't see him. And I did also recommend that he have his staff attend the tips training that I have scheduled for this year. I have two different dates that those classes will be held. So
Are they, any of them taking you up on that offer? Or is this?
anybody sign up yet, but
Okay. Is it okay if I have a couple questions? So their liquor license expired on December 26th. So they're operating without a liquor license currently?
as far as I
For
know,
the
yeah.
so we had them operating for 4 months without a liquor license.
Yes.
And what I also saw in here was that there should have been a 28-day period that they were suspended from the state, right?
Yeah, that was last fall, I believe.
Okay, so were they selling alcohol in our town the 28 days that they weren't supposed to?
Well, they shouldn't have been. I mean, I'm not.
Well, did they just close their business down because they were open?
I think that there was so many days stayed. A copy of the order and stipulation is in your council packet.
Uh-huh.
And so many days, they were suspended for so many days with so many days stayed.
Okay.
Which means that they were held in abeyance, which means that they were kind of put on just hold pending other further violations, which they'd had the tax violation first, if I recall. And then the underage selling to a minor operative, secondly. So there were two separate violations.
And they've been operating without a liquor license for 4 months.
As far as I know.
Top of those two violations.
But
Wow.
the penalty of doing that is just a fee.
Yeah, it's
They're paying.
complying with, yeah, he's trying to get back in compliance.
I'm just kind of blown away. I don't want to root against them but at the same time, I mean, as a representative of this city, this is not how we operate.
What is obviously it's not, like Deb said, it's not her place.
Oh, no, not at all.
So whose place is it to enforce, if they should not have been selling alcohol? Okay, Mary Elizabeth has an answer for us.
Oh, sure.
Well, I mean, that is something that, the city can call into the state for enforcement. But also what I would suggest, if you have questions, knowing that the applicant is not here, and it sounds like you do have some very, I would say, legitimate concerns about operations going forward, you can continue this to another city council meeting and request that the applicant attend in person, so that you can gather some additional information. I mean, if you would like to direct Deb to, get some additional information as to what exactly happened in that 28 period, 28-day period, Counselor Williams, and then these, last 4 months, and also some additional information about enforcement. That's what I would suggest you do, so that you can.
Oh, I think that's a given, but I'm pretty surprised that they're not here. On
Yes.
top of the other things I'm already surprised about.
Right, so if we do that, what impact does it have to their business today?
They would not have a valid liquor license to operate under, as they don't now. That would just.
Well, that's what I mean. They don't have one now and they're operating.
Yeah.
If you'd like to, you can direct staff to follow up with the state about any enforcement to occur if they are operating without a license.
They're putting us in a bad position.
No,
I don't like this at all.
I'm in agreement with you that we know they're in a violation, and I think we're a fairly reasonable council, but they are not here to kind of talk us through this.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
it sounds like you recommended that they
Red
be here
flag.
tonight.
Way I understood, yes, he was going to be here tonight.
I can't.
No, I think continuing it, inviting him here and getting more information is absolutely the way to go. I don't think
That's perfectly fine.
you should decide this.
In the meantime, I don't want them, they shouldn't be selling any alcohol in that building.
I'd like
If
some
they
clarification
don't have a
on what-
license. They
so
don't,
what
they've
does that
been,
mean? What is the?
So the question is,
this is crazy.
let's direct staff, let's find out what that
Yeah.
process is.
I can contact liquor enforcement and see.
Mm-hmm.
But they know where, yeah.
I mean, I guess, one thing we can follow up on too, and Deb, you probably already looked at this, but whether they're eligible for a renewal if they've had their license lapse,
Yeah,
or if that
they
becomes a new
they
application
are, as
process.
long as they're in a
Okay.
certain time frame and they pay the $500 late penalty.
Okay.
Would be nice to know too, you said that Krista can check on the tax thing, because that's another.
Yes.
There's just a
Well,
lot
we
of
can-
issues.
yeah, I-
Krista can though.
I know she can, but we can't find out the exact amount. We can just, I think we can only find out if they're,
Be nice to just know a yay or nay.
yes.
Get what information
Just
legally.
something. Are they doing anything good
Yeah.
anywhere? Like, give me a reason to root for you guys. Like, that's what I'm asking for. Because they're not showing me anything right now.
Is there a date specific you would like to continue it to?
Next council.
Next,
That'd be
Yes.
April 21st. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, some of us might not be here, but
I'll be there at the beginning of that meeting. Well, I'll be there at the beginning of that meeting regardless. Yeah.
Might be responsible to put it on the first.
Yes.
Half of it since.
Exactly.
oh yeah,
Council.
let's do that first half.
It's your own matter.
Well,
Yeah.
are you going to have a quorum on the 21st? Oh, well, that's
No.
right. You're waiting on election
No, we
results.
were-
That's,
we were
I
just
forgot.
saying it
You're
would be
right.
nice. It would be nice if that would be us that dealt with the rest of this.
That
Recommend a
would, that would be
motion
old,
to
that would be
effect.
old business, not new business. So
Yes.
that would
Yes,
be you
ma'am.
guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
fine.
So in terms of steps, I'm assuming nobody wants to make a motion to approve.
Moved.
Well, before we move on, in the meantime,
No,
we
it's,
need to have someone stop in there and make sure they're not selling alcohol tomorrow because they don't have a permit to do it.
I think
Well,
we
they
need
need-
clarification.
Check in.
That law.
Yeah, what does that look
we
like,
need to find
Shannon?
out what that process is.
I don't know what the
Yeah,
enforcement.
we don't know what that.
Yeah.
That information needs to be found out on a
Yeah,
staff level.
I don't know, honestly. I've never been in this situation in my 17 years.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm just happy that I'm not crazy because I started looking at this and it seemed very not right to me. Okay.
We can check in on that. I did in the stipulation, there was a 5-day suspension back in October that could have been served. So let us check in on that and get back. And in the meantime, I would recommend, that it just be continued to April 21st.
I would request a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
In a second. So with that, any other questions, comments on this item?
No.
All right, so please.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley, Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi, Counselor Purser.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you, and
Deb.
thank you, Deb, and thank you, Mary Elizabeth, on that. All right. So with that, we are going to jump all the way to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Just a few quick items for you. So tomorrow we do have a special meeting at the Fruita Community Center if you're able to attend. So Ciara sent out some additional information about this yesterday, but we're in the middle of a call for artists to replace the facade at the Co-op Tower. So tomorrow the Fruita City Council, the Tourism Advisory Council, and the Arts and Culture Board will have the opportunity to review the how many proposals? 7 proposals that we received for that. So that's tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. At the community center. It's going to be a little bit of an odd meeting. So because we're using a formal procurement template and evaluation, so everything's going to have to be done. We'll have our finance staff kind of kick off the meeting, kind of show like how to use that criteria, then everyone will individually rate each proposal, and then they won't discuss it. But at the end of the meeting, they'll take all of those ratings and they'll compile all of the rankings together. And then from there, you'll have a short list, which the council, the Arts and Culture Board, and the Tourism Advisory Council as well will then review to determine the final person for it.
There's no formal action that will be taken. It
No.
will be run as a meeting versus a formal council meeting.
Just a short list will be taken tomorrow with the final decision we made in the next couple weeks. So we are expecting probably about an hour and a half, and dinner will be provided for coming in on a Wednesday. So thank you for that, and looking forward to that. Also, if you noticed at the Civic Center, there's a lot going on outside on the lawn. So the UTMB Desert Rest Trail Running Festival is this weekend. This is our biggest race in Fruita yet. I was talking to the event organizers today, 1,800 racers from all over the world. So by far their biggest one. All races are sold out apart from the 10K. And it's going to be very, very busy downtown and at the Cocopelli trails throughout the weekend. So just a heads up, the building will be closed on Friday, but for Thursday, tomorrow and Thursday, there will be access available on the north
Do they
side
have events
as well.
tomorrow, or do they?
They're just setting up. Yeah, the
Okay, so
kickoff is on Thursday, but the races start on Friday and it goes up until Sunday, with the big kind of party on Saturday night, is what they were telling me.
Great grass.
Yeah. And then finally, last week we had our first week of the Fruit Academy. I thought it went very well. Of course, if council's ever interested, you're more than welcome to drop in and out of that. This week is at Lower Valley with the police department and the fire department. They got all the fun stuff. Admin doesn't, but should be good. And we have almost 30 participants. I'm not sure how many ended up showing up. I want to say it was 27. So a tie with our most participants, but it's a really good group, a really engaged group, and a really active group. So really looking forward to the Fruit Academy this year. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
I know you sent us the Army Corps of Engineers letter. Could you just kindly go over
Sure, Dan.
the implications of that letter are?
I'm going to turn this over to our Assistant City Manager, Dan Karras.
Just opening it up. Hold on one second. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Dan Karras, Assistant City Manager. So essentially, this permit from the Corps was what we applied for many months ago to essentially validate the jurisdictional nature of the Independence Ranchman's Ditch. And if you recall, we did a pretty lengthy write-up in conjunction with Alex Neese from SGM, who's our environmental consultant that helped us fill out that permit. Essentially, this determines that the jurisdictional nature they found to be essentially below the threshold that the Corps evaluates to have us do any sort of mitigation or revegetation or to increase wetlands in another location. You can see the specifics. It was a little bit easier to read when it was Alex's niece or Alex Neese's determination, but basically that threshold of 0.01 acre of disturbance is the big kind of ticket item with the Corps in determining not necessarily jurisdictional, but determining whether or not we need to go through some sort of remitigation. That has not been requested of the city to do so. However, I think that this also shows that the disturbance in question, being under 2,000 square feet is essentially, vegetation that was present in all likelihood because a ditch existed there, not necessarily because there was active wetlands. Again, pretty big process, really big application to request for the after the fact, and then a 1.5-page letter giving us a permit. A little underwhelming relative to how long it took us to fill out the application, but nevertheless, kind of puts a bow on the project and essentially creates some conclusion that the justification that you were hearing from our engineering team, our city manager's office, and our attorneys been consistent all throughout that we were not going to end up in a violation just because of the timing of needing to apply for the after the fact permit.
Thank you.
Do we have that permit on the website for that project?
Well, I'm not sure.
Would it be good to do it or not? Just to have the full picture.
I don't see any reason why we can't have it on there. We have a lot of information about 19 Road on there. I'm sure that we'll, we typically, like, after projects are concluded, we'll make as-builts available for other development engineers on our GIS, and usually there's a lot of other applicable information that's there as well. So I don't see any issues with that.
Well, so if people are interested, they could easily find it.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
No, nothing.
All right. With that, we're going to bring it back to Councilor and action items. Anybody want to volunteer and go first?
I'll go first. I only have one. Well, no, I have two. Historic preservation, we met, had a neat little meeting with the chamber, with Kayla and Allie, and discussed some collaborations that we will be doing with them, which are going to be really cool. Stay tuned for those. And then I attended yesterday morning. No, that was this morning. It's been a long day. This morning, I attended the childcare roundtable with Hickenlooper, which was interesting. It was at the Confluence Center, and just really heard from like local families and what they're struggling of. It's a lot. And then also heard from providers and the struggles that they're facing with the funding. It's a lot. It was a heavy morning. Lots of tissues and tears, and but really good stuff, like really good information that Senator Hickenlooper said he would be taking back, and kind of neat to connect with that. I started in early childhood education, and it was really neat to see some of the people who've been there for a very long time are still there. It's amazing the dedication that's in that community.
The regulatory compliance is.
It's insane.
Yes.
Which is good, but it's also a lot, and it's a very expensive lift for them. So really encouraging though to hear the amount of passion and dedication that that's not going anywhere in our community. And a lot of good things that are happening too. Just creativity that's springing up among the Grand Valley is pretty neat. And Hickenlooper did commend us for that. So that's pretty cool. That's all I got.
Thank you. James, we're just going to ping pong.
I don't have anything.
I suppose, since this is my last opportunity to say so, I will be here for the next meeting, but I'll only be here for half of it. So I wanted to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to serve my community, to serve Fruita, and I still have a commitment to doing just that. So keep an eye out for me. This is not goodbye. It's just so long for now.
Thank you.
Cheers to you. Yeah. We appreciate you stepping
We'll get emotional next meeting. Just so you know.
Oh, thank you, Amanda, for being willing to serve and being a wonderful asset on this council. Two things on the Parks and Rec Commission. Got a new board leadership, so that'll be fun. Community garden, that's still on par to open up in mid-May. I believe all the major work is done. They're just bringing in dirt, and I think there's also going to be a community meeting to see exactly how we fill up those gardens. One cool thing with it is we're applying for an AARP grant for some shade structures to help provide shade over the shaded guard area. And then also some mural stuff back there. So it sounds like the project's come along and will be a wonderful asset. Let's see. And then GGF, the big thing is they have their big summit here on the 23rd. There's a big day event, and then there's also a VIP thing that we've been invited to. I think Katie will do the day stuff, and then you'll do your own night sign up for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
FTAC met, you heard about the meeting tomorrow for the silo. We said temporarily goodbye to Sierra, who now have Ammon to be our liaison with staff. We said goodbye to 2 members of the council who have served their terms. So there is a need for some additional individuals in the community to come and serve, step forward and serve. And hopefully someone from the lodging side of it.
Oh, that'd be great.
But that's the only thing I have.
Right, thank you.
I don't have anything. Wow.
Okay.
I know.
Weird.
It's
Thank you for sending out the report from Puma. So in terms of being able to read kind of the recap and all of that, I'm glad that we're doing it. I read through the GJEP report and that kind of solidified my beliefs that we need to kind of look at what we're doing. Just looking at the map that was in the GJEP report and who was not on that map was interesting. The chamber banquet is not this week, but following. And do we have a table?
We have two.
Okay. All I can say is I'm buying a wig for this. Not getting a pie in the face this time, hopefully, but there will be a wig.
So sad I'm missing it.
So hopefully some will be able to attend for that event, Saturday Night Live themed. We did have our Board of Adjustments meeting. Thank you, Henry, for, and I say we had the meeting because it was the meeting, I think I don't know.
Once a decade.
For the decade.
The last one, did you?
Decade, I think.
Yeah, so Tess, who's here, also attended that. Thank you, Tess, for signing up and joining for that. There was some good conversation around why there hasn't been a meeting and kind of working through that. And there was some good back and forth on that. I see candidates are here. I do want to thank everybody that is running this time. The manner of which everybody kind of did their messaging and kind of what they stood for and the respect that they showed other candidates. Thank you for helping to keep Fruita in terms of how we interact and setting the example. So
No surprise postcards this time. That was very nice.
so,
I forgot about that one.
yeah, so did I. So thank you for everybody that's participating in that. And then just to have it on record for people that come in and make public comment, very grateful. It's it's not easy to come up and speak for 3 minutes. It's an awkward time and it's kind of an intimidating thing if you're not used to it. So I do want to say thank you for everybody that comes up and does speak. But I also do want to remind people that besides public comment, we're all available to sit and have a cup of coffee for concerns that they have. And that is not just those of us on council, but staff as well. So I would encourage people to come up and make public comment, but also to reach out and have those conversations where those can be a little bit more in depth. So, and that's.
One question. We just had an audience member ask about street closure communications. What's our normal guidance that we follow when it comes to partial or full road closures?
Oh, you made Steve get a.
Steve was on it. He hopped up.
And then if we can
He's coming.
piggyback onto that, is there a permitting process that's involved with that?
First, we got to acknowledge this dope shirt. No, geez, buddy.
There you go.
What's he walking?
That's sweet.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm Steve Martinez, Special Projects Manager, and also the guy in charge of the right-of-way permits, at least until we have a new inspector on staff. Yes, to answer the first question that I heard while I was walking up here, there is a permitting process. Anybody that's going to be doing work in the right-of-way applies for a permit. It's a $60 permit. And it comes with the list of inspections that are going to take place. Basically, we just go over what the scope of work is. We determine what's going to be needed to fulfill the permit and make it official. Once the work is done, they go into a 1-year warranty period where we monitor it and make sure that everything passes. And this particular instance was a gas line that needed to be fixed. It had a leak in it, and Excel applied for the permit using SiteWise as their subcontractor. But when they got on site, there was traffic that was stopped in the street, broken down vehicles. And it was determined that they couldn't do a single lane closure with the amount of equipment that needed to be brought in. And I was called at about 7:45 in the morning and asking if they could shut the street down. And before I made any decisions, I went out to the site, and looked at it to determine. They did have flaggers on site on both ends of the street so they could allow the locals, the people that live on the street, to get in and out of the street just fine. That's when I placed the call to Tessa, because I knew because of the narrow street and how many houses there are and how close all the houses are, that it was going to be disruptive. So I made the call to Tessa to let her know that I don't really have a choice. I got to shut the street down for them to get in and get out as quickly as possible. And that was a decision that I made on my own, but only after I had determined that it had to be made. And so it was about 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon before they finally got finished. It was very disruptive, but it was a leaky gas line that needed to be fixed. So yeah. Any other questions?
Time when it's Excel or Ute or whomever, when they're pull a permit to do the work that they have, that they can block people's driveways?
No, absolutely not. It literally is illegal for us to block a driveway. Now, they can do work in front of a driveway, but only if people have access in and out of the driveway, or they can move their car first so that they can get in and out as necessary. And we do pay close attention to that kind of stuff as well. You know, I mean, some of these kind of things where they have to open a big pit in the road, it's just really disruptive. Then they have to bring in new material to put back in. In this case, they brought in what they call flow fill. So it's a concrete, fast setting concrete that doesn't have to have any compaction tests or anything like that. It really is kind of the best way to fill these things back in, because the street will never cave in. Unless it's a water leak, but that's another story.
So what is the notification process though? Like, so, I mean, you called Tess because we know Tess, but what about the neighbors? Like, is there a process for that? I mean, this is a unique situation because it's very urgent, but what would typically happen in that case?
So Amanda Downey at Public Works notifies all the emergency services once the permit is approved, and we have a date for the job, and we have an approved traffic control plan. So I don't approve the traffic control. That happens at Public Works because we have actual traffic control certified people there. So they'll review the traffic control, and then on the back end of that, engineering will review the scope of work and what's actually going to take place. As far as public notice, it really just goes to emergency services at that point. So we notify Lower Valley. Ambulances know where there's going to be blockages, where there's going to be slowdowns in traffic, and then, of course, the police department.
What about residents?
There's not really a notification for residents, other than the permit is public information.
Doesn't that seem like that might be something we should
Is it because they still have
not
access to
continue moving forward?
Yeah, and yeah.
It was like a major, like, we're going to shut the road down for a week at a time.
Yeah, then we would that's why I called Tessa, because I knew that it was going to be disruptive, and I knew that based on the fact that that street was so narrow. I mean, I made those guys put flaggers on both ends of the street to keep traffic moving in and out. And it was a kind of a unique situation where we had to kind of change the plan at the last second.
And I want to pull this conversation away from Tessa.
I know.
This is more of kind of
higher level
operational kind of policy kind of question.
And we're in the process right now of bringing a new inspector on staff, so this will no longer be part of my purview, but I'm definitely going to be involved in helping them get going in the new position as far as training, some of the stuff that we do. And I think it might be a good idea to institute some sort of public acknowledgement. I mean, we do have the communication that goes out. So anytime that we're disrupting traffic, we let Ciara know. She sends out the email to everybody that's on the mailing list. And so everybody in the city can submit their email address to receive those notifications. So there is a portion of public acknowledgement, or, making them aware, but only if they're obviously subscribed to it.
Well, and I'm curious too, like this was Excel, right? And so like they have their own mechanisms of
Sure.
alerting people when they're dealing with something too. I think they definitely did something.
They definitely do.
There, so I would think that they would have also notified residents that were being affected by that as well. Not by the street being closed down, but just that something was happening.
Yeah, I can think of a couple of instances where I know that they did notify people. Usually it's more of an emergency situation where, a gas line might get hit or struck by a boar or something like that. There was a gas leak out on South Mesa a couple of months ago. And Excel, because of the franchise agreement, in an emergency situation, they don't even really have to notify us before they go get in the ground. Sometimes we'll find them working without a permit, but they always backfill the permit so that we have a way to track the warranty on the work that gets done to refurbish. But and it's the same with Ute Water too. I mean, the permitting process is great for when somebody needs to have a sewer line replaced. You know, we can plan for the work. We know way ahead of time that it's going to happen. But if it's a gas leak or a water break, we might not know it until they're actually done with the work.
I think one thing to keep in mind, not to say that like we should not notify the public, but like it really is the utility that could be disrupting their service. And so like they're the ones that are gonna, I think, in my view, should be responsible for communicating to the residents. When there is planned closures, we have done communications in the past and tried to connect people to information. But those projects are typically where, you know, Steve or somebody from the engineering department is actually working with the utility to open the roads back up and at a certain point, you know, in the evening and maintain circulation. So I think we do have a pretty robust, you know, process for that. I think that, you know, communicating like when we're doing chip seal or when it's our project, I think we have perhaps maybe a higher degree of contact, but I'd be reluctant to field the questions about when is my water going to be back on or when is my gas going to be back on.
No, I appreciate it because I know like a couple of years ago when K Road was shut down for 3 years. I think it was like 3 months. It felt like it.
Years.
I kind of liked it because it was quiet. But no, staff came out and talked to me as a resident and let me know what was going on and expectations and continued throughout the whole thing too. So I've seen it in action.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. All right. Good night.
I did have, just because the Arts and Culture Board did provide a grant to this event, I want to go ahead and mention it here. The Porcello West did happen this past weekend, and it was beyond
So good.
what I could really have hoped for. It was really,
Pictures look great.
yeah, it was phenomenal. It was just a beautiful feeling of community and all the things working in place, and it was a great.
The weather was
Weather was perfect.
so gorgeous.
Yeah. So thanks to the Arts and Culture Board for their piece of that puzzle.
Anything else? All right. We have one executive session tonight. Discussion, possible action, consider. We need a motion to go into executive session. But to set expectations, we'll go into executive session. I guess we'll go into executive session and then we will not be coming back into an open public meeting. So unless, James, you want a second executive session?
I was hoping for like 5.
All right, you heard it.
Just, you know.
You
Right,
could
so
go,
with
you
that-
could go ahead and adjourn the public portion of the meeting now.
So we'll go ahead and adjourn that. We'll need to switch over. We'll adjourn our public meeting. We'll need to switch over the
No, that's what I want to know.
That'll be
Zoom call, but we need a motion first to move into executive session.
Yes, but sorry, go ahead. You are making the motion. That's what I was going to ask for.
I move to convene into executive session for discussion of a personnel matter under CRS section 24-6-402 4F for the city attorney's informal review.
All right. Need a second?
Second.
All right. First and second, any questions?
Counselor Quigley? Yes. Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Williams? Counselor Hansi? Counselor Purser?
Yes.
And Counselor Parrish. Motion passes 6-0.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Is there a different meeting link for
Let
this?
me get that up for you guys and then I'll head out.
Thank you. And I'll take note of time, so that way I don't get in trouble with Deb.
Sit downstairs.
Yeah, she always writes them on her
right.
down there.
They might not be. They might not be done.
Probably there.
Yeah, we're not going to leave.
I know.
Done.
Marinette.
What?
I want to.
Steph could have took a
I know.
picture and sent it to us.
You're at real big risk, Mayor.